Huh? You? You made this yourself? Yu Lingshue's face was filled with disbelief. Looking at the doll in her hand again, it was made of that wool felt crafted stitch by stitch. If it were just a casually bought gift, that would be one thing, but this was something someone had personally made, modeled after herself. The significance was immense. This gift, isn't it a bit? Because your family conditions are definitely very good, you might not necessarily like expensive gifts, so I made it myself. I think it at least shows sincerity. Wait, you mean the gifts you prepared for your friends? Which means you consider me a friend, right? Min Gran paused, turned her head to exchange a look with Zhou Heng, who also looked puzzled. Then, Min Gran let out a soft laugh and said, "Does that even need to be said? Of course. I get along well with my classmates, but I only have a few friends, and you count as one. Otherwise, think about it. If I had to make one for everyone, wouldn't I be exhausted? I wouldn't be able to finish them all." Friend, Yu Lingxue stared at the doll in her hand. For some reason, she felt the urge to cry again, her nose tingling. The next second, she looked up and suddenly hugged Min Gran. Zhou Heng and Min Gran were both stunned, not knowing what had suddenly come over her. "Thank you." Yu Lingxue released her, nodded, and then left Zhou Heng and Min Gran's home. Min Gran was startled for a moment, then looked back at Zhou Heng. Zhou Heng spread his hands and shrugged, not understanding. After Zhou Heng and Min Gran finished dinner, they reviewed for a while, then showered early and went to bed to get enough rest for the exam early the next morning. That night, many people found it difficult to sleep. Some felt time was passing too slowly, while others felt it was passing too quickly. Liao Hao Miao and Zhu Tao lay on their respective beds in their bedrooms, chatting with each other on their phones, their hearts pounding with excitement. "When the exams are over, we can finally meet. Then I'll be with you every day. Of course, when I see you, I'm going to kiss you hard. Make up for all the kisses we've missed for so long. Hee, okay, I'll be waiting. Don't just talk the talk." The two of them giggled foolishly at their phones. Day and night, they faced cold screens, feeling each other's warmth, and now those days were finally coming to an end. They were finally seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. For them, time passed too slowly. They really wished the exams would end quickly. Tong Yining sat at her desk, looking at the bright moon hanging in the sky outside her window, lost in thought, looking very melancholic. Zhou Heng and Ran Ran are probably asleep by now. Tong Yining muttered softly. For some reason, images of Zhou Heng and Min Gran embracing in bed kept appearing in her mind. How long had it been? The thought still made her heart suddenly clench, an unbearable pain. The person who once liked her so much, and a friend who was once so close to her, were now so distant. This was all her own doing. Tong Yining slowly rested her head on the desk, looking at a graduation photo placed in front of her. It had been taken 2 days ago. Zhou Heng and Min Gran stood together. Now that they had graduated, they no longer needed to be low-key. They stood close, Min Gran's head resting on Zhou Heng's shoulder, their fingers intertwined, holding each other tightly, standing next to Teacher Wang. And she, on the other hand, stood far away from them, in a completely different state. They looked so happy and blissful, but her own expression seemed filled with regret. Why did we graduate so quickly? Could we do senior year all over again? For Tong Yining, this senior year had passed too quickly. If possible, she truly wished she could do again. Late at night, Yu Lingxue was still awake, lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, lost in thought. The room was exceptionally quiet. Only the sound of the small alarm clock's hands ticking could be heard. Yu Lingxue slowly turned her head, looking at the cabinet beside her. 2 things were placed on it. One was the doll keychain Min Gran had given her, and the other was the medicine her father had brought her. These 2 items, placed together, looked very awkward and out of place. Sigh. Yu Lingxue sighed, then turned off the bedside lamp and closed her eyes to sleep. The start of the college entrance exam was undoubtedly the most important day for the graduating students. The candidates entered the examination halls one after another. Most parents came to accompany their children, waiting anxiously outside the exam venue. Zhou Heng and Min Gran, however, did not. The 2 of them came together, entered the examination hall together, ready for the exam. Before entering, Min Gran sent a message to Lu Wei on her phone and received an encouraging reply. Lu Wei was too busy to accompany them, but Zhou Heng and Min Gran didn't mind. At this moment, all their other thoughts were set aside, and they focused wholeheartedly on the exam. Min Gran was actually quite worried, concerned that Zhou Heng might be nervous and underperform. His scores in several mock exams had been very ideal, and Zhou Heng's final ranking was in the top 20 of their grade. In just 2 semesters, a few exams, he had improved from over 200th place to the top 20. It wasn't unheard of, but it was rare. So as long as Zhou Heng performed normally, there would be absolutely no problem. And Zhou Heng's state was such that Yin Min Gran had no need to worry at all. He was particularly relaxed, not nervous at all, and it could even be said that he performed exceptionally well. Areas that Yin Min Gran hadn't reviewed with him before the exam, he could answer completely correctly. The 3-day college entrance exam ended before summer truly set in. Regardless of whether they performed well or poorly, the moment the exam ended, they stopped thinking about it, having already summed up their efforts. 2 days after the college entrance exam ended, around 3 in the afternoon, Zhou Heng sat on the sofa, holding his phone, a displeased look on his face. "Hey, Liao Hao Miao, what's wrong with you guys? It's been 2 days since the exam's finished. Why aren't you coming out when we ask? Did you two elope?" Zhou Heng leaned back on the sofa, crossed his legs, his tone a little angry. Liao Hao Miao's voice came from the other end of the phone. "Bro, tomorrow. Definitely tomorrow. Okay? My treat, you and Tangji come too, okay? These past 2 days. Well, the exams just finished, so we wanted some time alone." "Oh, all right, I understand. See you tomorrow then." Zhou Heng hung up the phone helplessly, not saying much more. Just then, Yi Mingran's voice came from the bedroom. "Honey, come see if this dress is okay for the class reunion tonight." "Coming." Hearing Yi Mingran's voice, Zhou Heng's face instantly lit up with a smile. He stood up from his sofa and walked into the bedroom. Inside, Yi Mingran stood in front of the mirror, wearing a pure white slip dress, a crystal necklace around her neck, her long hair cascading over her shoulders. She looked as pure and beautiful as a princess. She also had light makeup on, looking several times more beautiful than usual. The moment he saw Yin Min Gran, Zhou Heng was slightly stunned. After a few seconds, he slowly walked over and gently hugged her from behind. "You look so beautiful. Many people will be staring at you tonight." Listening to Zhou Heng's soft whispers by her ear, Yin Min Gran felt a tingling sensation run through her body. She gently bit her lip as if suppressing a smile. Then she turned around, wrapped her arms around Zhou Heng's neck, and whispered, "Then, should I change?" Zhou Heng shook his head and said, "It's fine. My baby can wear whatever she likes. It makes me proud. Besides, it's an important class reunion just this once. Wear it, it's fine." "Honey, you're so good." Yin Min Gran stood on her tiptoes and left a kiss on Zhou Heng's lips. All right, hurry up and get ready. I heard some of them have already arrived." Zhou Heng released Yin Min Gran, preparing to go out and wait for her. Just as he was about to leave the room, Yin Min Gran called out from behind, "Honey, what's wrong?" Zhou Heng turned his head and looked at Yin Min Gran, seeing her hesitant look, unsure what she wanted to say. Yin Min Gran looked Zhou Heng up and down, and the hand she had extended slowly retracted. No, it's nothing. You look very handsome today." Oh, really? Zhou Heng couldn't help but be stunned for a moment, nodded, grinned, and then walked out. Yin Min Gran stared outside, her eyes a bit dazed. Actually, that wasn't what she had wanted to say. Before the exams, she had been most looking forward to them ending because they had an agreement. But the exams had been over for 2 days, and the two of them hadn't fulfilled that agreement yet. Yin Min Gran felt that since the exams had just finished, Zhou Heng had just been relieved from a tense state, so she should let him rest for 2 days to recover. Today was already 2 days later. There was a class reunion tonight, and she had dressed up so beautifully, mainly for Zhou Heng to see. She didn't know if, after the class reunion tonight, their decision could. She had wanted to say it just now, but didn't because it was too embarrassing. She also didn't know if Zhou Heng still remembered, if he was thinking about this matter. After Zhou Heng left the bedroom, he sat on the sofa, waiting for Yin Min Gran. He didn't look at his phone, just propped his cheek with his hand, staring ahead absently, as if thinking about something. I wonder if tonight will be the night. Zhou Heng muttered softly. Actually, he had been thinking about this too. The day the college entrance exam ended, Zhou Heng felt he should rest well, and he couldn't appear too eager, so he didn't do anything. The next day, he had originally planned to have a drink with Yin Min Gran in the evening, and then. But yesterday, he suddenly got addicted to a game and unknowingly played until past 10 at night. It had been a long time since he'd touched a game, and once he started playing, he couldn't stop. By that time, they had already had dinner, and Yin Min Gran was also a bit sleepy, so it was forgotten. So Zhou Heng thought today would be a good opportunity. A class reunion. They could also have a little to drink. When he and Yin Min Gran went home afterwards, it should be the best chance. "Honey, I'm ready, let's go." After a while, Yin Min Gran came out of the bedroom, wearing high heels and carrying a rather expensive-looking designer bag. These were all things Zhou Heng had taken Yin Min Gran to buy, practically forcing her to buy them, telling her to get something good. Otherwise, Min Gran saved money to the point where Zhou Heng felt a bit embarrassed. The two of them had quite a bit of money, tens of thousands in total, but Min Gran spent less than 1,000 yuan on herself a month. Zhou Heng felt that if she continued to be so frugal, he would be too embarrassed to spend money on games or anything. Okay, let's go. Tang Ji just sent a message. She said she's arrived and is waiting for us at the entrance. Zhou Heng and Min Gran left together, hailed a cab, and headed straight for their destination. It was Yuling Xue's family hotel, quite famous in the vicinity. Zhou Heng was quite surprised when he heard the hotel's name, not expecting it to be owned by Yuling Xue's family. They were truly influential. About 10 minutes later, Zhou Heng and Min Gran arrived at the hotel. By this time, many of their classmates were already at the entrance, chatting. The two of them got out of the car, holding hands. Tang Ji, standing not far away, spotted them immediately. Tang Ji was wearing a rather revealing short skirt, which suited her temperament well, making her look both sweet and edgy. She looked at the two of them, clapped her hands, and said with a smile, "All right, the prince and princess have arrived. Everyone welcome them quickly." "Ha ha ha, good. Where's the red carpet? Bring over the red carpet." Several classmates heard Tang Ji's words, laughed heartily, and quickly ran over, automatically forming two lines, leaving Zhou Heng and Min Gran standing there awkwardly, smiling helplessly. Min Gran waved her hand and said, all right, stop fooling around. Has Teacher Wang arrived? She's here, chatting inside." "Okay, then let's hurry inside too." Everyone went into the hotel together. A waiter led the way, taking them all to the designated floor. At this time, outside the largest private room, a girl in a long dress stood there. She was also exquisitely dressed, highlighting her particularly noble temperament. This person was Yuling Xue. She had just been inside receiving classmates when a phone call summoned her out. This call was from her father, Yu Ingha. "Dad, has Zhou Heng arrived?" "Not yet. He should be here soon." Today is the best opportunity. You must seize it. The room upstairs has been prepared for you. After you succeed, just take him upstairs." Yuling Xue looked troubled, bit her lip, and stammered, "Dad, how about another day? Let's talk about it later. Today, after all, so many classmates are here, and the class teacher is here too. Don't be afraid of anyone. That's our territory. Remember, what you do might be resented. Zhou Heng might even hate you for it. But what about a year later? 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? Time will dilute everything. By then, the one standing by his side will definitely be you. Seize the opportunity, child. This is your best chance to ascend in one step." Yuling Xue fell into a silence, holding her phone, her mouth agape, yet unable to utter a word. Her slightly flushed, beautiful face showed extreme indecision and melancholy. Yu Hai, on the other end of the line, seeing Yuling Xue didn't reply, let out a huff and said in a deep voice, "Don't disappoint, Dad. If you can't even handle this small matter, then don't come home." Hanging up, waiting for your good news. "Dad." Before Yuling Xue could finish, the call disconnected. She looked at the disconnected call, a bitter look in her eyes. "Hey, Yuling Xue." Just then, Imingran's voice came. Yuling Xue jolted, turned her head, and saw Zhou Heng, Min Gran, and the others had all arrived. "Ah, you're here." Yuling Xue quickly went to greet them, instantly changing her expression, but it still looked a bit stiff. Min Gran was somewhat surprised, looking at Yuling Xue and asking, "What's wrong? Why do you look unwell?" I'm not. Maybe I'm just a bit tired." Yuling Xue paused, stammering her reply. Tang Ji, beside her, frowned slightly, staring at Yuling Xue for a moment, but didn't say anything. Among these people, she probably understood Yuling Xue the best. Yuling Xue's current state clearly indicated she was lying. However, Tang Ji didn't know why she was lying, so she didn't expose her. Min Gran looked Yuling Xue up and down. She was wearing a long dress that looked like an evening gown, very beautiful, but must be somewhat inconvenient for walking, plus she was wearing high heels. So Min Gran guessed she was probably tired from receiving classmates. "You've worked hard. You should rest. I came late. As the class president, receiving classmates should have been my job." Min Gran nodded, smiled slightly at Yuling Xue, and then led the classmates into the private room. A trace of guilt arose in Yuling Xue's heart. Lying like this, she didn't deserve Min Gran treating her so well. The others also walked in one after another. Tang Ji came up to Yuling Xue and gently hooked Yuling Xue's chin with her finger. Yuling Xue looked up, staring blankly at Tang Ji, a hint of fear in her eyes. Tang Ji's sharp gaze fixed on Yuling Xue, as she said lightly. Behave yourself, okay? With that, Tang Ji walked in, leaving Yu Lingxue standing outside alone, motionless, lost in thought. Inside the private room, there was a large round table. Class teacher Wang was currently chatting with a dozen or so students. The moment Yi Mingran walked in, she instantly attracted everyone's attention. Wow, the class president is so beautiful. My goodness. Take a picture, take a picture. Don't use flash. Some boys even took out their phones, wanted to sneak a picture, feeling that any shot would be wallpaper-worthy. Ahem. The next second, Zhou Heng walked in from the door. His strong build looked even more robust under his formal suit. Seeing Zhou Heng, those few boys immediately put down their phones, scratched their heads, pretending to be doing something else, looking particularly awkward. Tang Yining sat next to Tianran. She was also dressed beautifully today, but in terms of temperament and makeup, she was slightly inferior, a notch below Yi Mingran. If the two of them sat together, Tang Yining's radiance would be completely overshadowed, and everyone's gaze would undoubtedly focus on Yi Mingran. Tang Yining's eyes were currently fixed on Yi Mingran and Zhou Heng, as if her eyes were transfixed, looking particularly dazed. Her heart was also pounding. For some reason, the moment the two of them walked in, Tang Yining actually had a hallucination, feeling as if she were attending their wedding. Witnessing the moment, they stepped into the wedding hall. Tianran saw Tang Yining was stunned and nudged her with her elbow, whispering, "We agreed, don't leave early. Hang in there, don't leave a bad impression on the classmates." "I know," Tang Yining nodded, replying softly. No matter what, she wouldn't leave early today. She would definitely stay until the end. Otherwise, others would definitely think she couldn't stand seeing Zhou Heng and Yi Mingran together, that she couldn't bear it, and then she would truly have no face left. Teacher Wang. Yi Mingran first greeted Teacher Wang with a smile. Teacher Wang waved her hand, patted the seat next to her, signaling Yi Mingran to sit there. Yi Mingran quickly took Zhou Heng's hand, and they walked over together, sitting next to Teacher Wang. Then Tang Ji also sat on Zhou Heng's other side. After Tang Ji sat down, she looked up towards the doorway. When Yu Lingxue came in, Tang Ji immediately waved and called out, "Yu Lingxue, sit next to me." Oh, okay." Yu Lingxue was momentarily startled, then nodded and walked over. Tang Ji mainly wanted to keep an eye on Yu Lingxue to prevent her from causing any trouble. Sitting next to her made it easier to watch her. Coincidentally, next to Yu Lingxue was Tang Yining. The top beauties of the class were all sitting together. That side is really easy on the eyes. Look at others. If Zhou Heng catches you staring at the class president, he'll give you a warning glare. A few glances are enough. How can anyone keep staring at them so intently? It's so impolite and weird. There is. Several people turned their heads in unison, looking to the side. They saw a boy next to them, just staring intently, his eyeballs almost popping out, a smile on his lips. "Kongyu, stop looking. You're going to drool in a minute." A boy patted Kongyu, telling him to restrain himself. After all, sitting next to him was truly a bit embarrassing, like he'd never seen a girl before, his gaze so fixed. Kongyu swallowed, his throat moving, turned to look at the boy, and whispered, "Tell me, is there any way I can get a group photo with those girls? Just one. Me in the middle, them on the sides. Damn, I could brag about that photo for a lifetime." "Dream on. Don't even think about any of these girls. Or, why don't you try kneeling and begging them?" Kongyu said seriously, "Bro, a man has his pride. How can he kneel so casually? The main thing is, kneeling won't work. Otherwise, why don't you help me ask first, see if it's possible? Good heavens, if I told you kneeling would work, you wouldn't hesitate for a second." The waiter knocked on the door, walked in, bowed respectfully to Yu Lingxue, and whispered, "Miss Yu, everything is ready. Shall we serve the dishes now?" Yu Lingxue responded softly. Her indifferent demeanor instantly enlivened the quiet atmosphere, and a group of boys erupted in cheers. "Io, she really is a young lady from a wealthy family. So much class." Their teasing made Yu Lingxue a bit embarrassed. She lowered her head slightly, her cheeks flushing. Teacher Wang also smiled, waved her hand, and said, all right, stop teasing. Look, Yu Lingxue never showed off her rich second-generation status during school. She's very easy to get along with, approachable. You should all learn this kind of attitude. Only then can you achieve great things in the future, understand? Understood. The students answered in unison, knowing Teacher Wang was trying to help Yu Lingxue out of her embarrassment, but Yu Lingxue felt even more awkward now. How could she not be easy to get along with? In front of Zhou Heng, she was like a nobody in the presence of a great figure. Knowing someone with such a powerful background existed, How would she dare to be arrogant? She wished she could be so low-key as to become invisible. Just then, a boy looked at Zhou Hong and shouted, "Brother Zhou, have a drink with us, bros." "Yeah, Brother Zhou, we've all graduated. Let's all have a drink together, right? This might be the last time so many of us gather together. The next time so many people gather, it might be your and the class president's wedding." Ha ha. The boys chimed in one after another, heating up the atmosphere. They usually had a good relationship with Zhou Hong. It was just that after Zhou Hong started dating, he focused on Yin Ming Gran and hardly ever went out to play with them, but it didn't affect their camaraderie as classmates. Well, Zhou Hong also smiled, subconsciously looking at Yin Ming Gran beside him, as if seeking her approval. This gesture was seen by the girls, who immediately covered their mouths and giggled, not in mockery, but because they shipped this CP. Of course, Yin Ming Gran wouldn't control Zhou Hong's drinking, but she still looked towards Teacher Wang. After all, Teacher Wang was present, and she should be the one to decide at this table. Teacher Wang smiled helplessly and said, "You don't need to mind me. You've all graduated. Play if you want to play, drink if you want to drink. It's fine, just be happy. I'll just say a few things, okay? Those who are strictly forbidden by their families to drink, those who are on medication or allergic, don't drink. And drink in moderation. Don't pressure others to drink. Let's gather happily and end happily, okay? Okay. Then teacher, will you have some too?" "Yeah." "Teacher, can you drink? Have some with the students." "Me? Oh, all right, then I'll just have a little." Teacher Wang nodded, agreeing to the student's request. Yuling Xue called over a waiter, beckoned him closer, and whispered, "Bring the wine my father has stored, and a few cases of beer." "Certainly." Soon, the dishes began to arrive one after another, and several bottles of expensive wine were also brought to the table. Zhou Hong was also poured a drink. Then, he remembered how Yin Ming Gran was when they drank before. He leaned closer to Yin Ming Gran and whispered, "Babe, you drink a little less, okay? I don't think I'll drink. You drink. Even if you get drunk, I can take you home." Yin Ming Gran shook her head. She had originally planned to drink, but she preferred to drink alone with Zhou Hong. With so many people present today, if she drank a little and lost her composure, it wouldn't be good. When Zhou Hong heard Yin Ming Gran wasn't drinking, he couldn't help but be stunned. He was still thinking about their agreement for tonight. Drinking a little could give him some courage, and then with Yin Ming Ran's state after drinking, wouldn't it all fall into place naturally? But if Yin Ming Gran wasn't drinking now then, could it still proceed smoothly? You should still drink a little. It's fine. After all, it's a class reunion, and you're the class president. Zhou Hong didn't expect he would say such a thing. He was actually starting to persuade Yin Ming Gran to drink for a certain purpose. You have a point. All right then, I'll drink a little too." Yin Ming Gran poured herself a little of the wine Zhou Hong had just poured, and also poured some for Teacher Wang beside her. Teacher Wang nudged Yin Ming Gran with her elbow and whispered, as the class president, "Say a few words." Okay. Yin Ming Gran picked up her wine glass and slowly stood up. At this moment, Zhou Hong also let out a loud ahem, attracting everyone's attention, causing the scene to instantly quiet down as they looked at Yin Ming Gran. Yin Ming Gran took a deep breath, paused for a few seconds, and slowly began to speak. "Fellow classmates, thank you all for coming. We have finally graduated. This glass of wine, I would like to toast every classmate present, and Teacher Wang. Thank you for accompanying me through this precious time of youth. Thank you for the profound impression you have left in my life. As class president, I also want to thank you for your support. No matter where we are in the future, no matter what we experience, this camaraderie among classmates will always remain the same. I wish each of us can realize our dreams. Thank you all." Clap, clap. As soon as her voice fell, Tang Ji took the lead in clapping, followed by Yuling Xue and Zhou Hong, and then every classmate in the class. Many female students even shed tears, wiping them with tissues, very reluctant to part. "Come, to the class president, to the teacher, class president. You will always be our class president." Right. The students stood up one by one, picked up their glasses, ready to drink this toast together. Teacher Wang looked at Yin Ming Gran, her face full of gratification, her eyes also full of pride. Then, she also picked up her glass, stood up, and joined the students. Just then, a girl smiled and asked, "By the way, class president, you just said realize your dreams. What is your dream?" Mine." Yin Ming Gran was slightly stunned, then subconsciously let her gaze drift to Zhou Hong beside her. This instantly made the whole place erupt again, letting out a collective cheer, and the boisterous atmosphere began. Zhou Hong pursed his lips, lowered his head slightly, but his ears quietly turned a little red. He raised his glass and said loudly, "Come, come, come. Cheers." The classmates raised their glasses together and took a sip. Yuling Xue was a beat slower, but she also drank it down. Her other hand tightly clutched her phone. Inside the phone case, a small packet of powder was hidden. "Come on, Brother Zhou, here's to you. Don't forget us bros when you get rich in the future. Brother Zhou, to you. You and the class president are truly a match made in heaven. We're so envious. Brother Zhou, Brother Zhou." After the dinner party began, Zhou Heng seemed to have automatically become the center of attention. Almost every boy came to toast him. Zhou Heng went from drinking a full glass at first to half a glass, and finally to just a sip. Otherwise, he really couldn't handle drinking so much. This kept Zhou Heng so busy, he was somewhat overwhelmed. Yin Mingran was quite happy to see Zhou Heng getting along so well with his classmates, but she was still a bit worried that Zhou Heng would drink too much. Taking turns to drink with Zhou Heng. Even if Zhou Heng could hold his liquor well, he couldn't withstand it. Teacher Wang finished her meal, sat for over an hour, and then prepared to leave. As a teacher, she knew very well that if she stayed, some students wouldn't be able to let loose. So she had planned to leave when things were about right, leaving the rest of the time for these kids to have fun. They were all adults. The college entrance exam was over. No need to be too restrained. Before leaving, she reminded them not to overdo it, not to drink too much, and then left. Indeed, some students were a bit restrained because the teacher was present. After the teacher left, they completely let loose, and the atmosphere in the room reached a climax, becoming particularly lively. Sometimes it was hard to hear what the other person was saying. The noise was simply too loud. "Class president, a toast to you." Okay." Yin Mingran picked up her wine glass and took a sip with a classmate. When Teacher Wang was here, the classmates didn't dare to toast Yin Mingran. After Teacher Wang left, they dared to drink with her, and when toasting, they still had to look at Zhou Heng's attitude. Only when they saw he had no reaction did they dare to toast. Of course, Zhou Heng wouldn't bother with such things. If classmates came to toast the class president, and he tried to stop them, it would be a bit too overbearing, too unreasonable. Anyway, as long as it wasn't malicious binge drinking, Zhou Heng wouldn't say anything. Everyone was happy today. He didn't want to spoil the mood. Yuling Xue held her wine glass, hesitating for a long time. Many people also came to toast her. After all, this place was owned by her family. Whether it was out of gratitude or to curry favor, they had to make a gesture. Yuling Xue didn't refuse, but she only took a small sip each time, not drinking much. She couldn't drink too much. She had a savor tolerance for the person she should really be toasting. After hesitating, Yuling Xue finally picked up her wine glass, looked at Tang Ji beside her, and said, "Tang Ji, I toast you." Tang Ji was slightly stunned, looked down at her wine glass, blinked, and said, "It's not me you want to toast, right?" "Look." Tang Ji tilted her chin slightly towards Zhou Heng, meaning if you want to toast, go toast Zhou Heng. That's your real purpose anyway. But Yuling Xue shook her head and said seriously, "The first person I should toast is you. No matter what, you took such good care of me and helped me so much." I thought you, and by Tsang must hate me to the core." Tang Ji picked up her wine glass, clinked it lightly with Yuling Xue's, and drained the red wine in her glass. "How could that be? We're afraid of you, yes, but at the same time, we also respect you. There's absolutely no hatred." Yuling Xue also drained the wine in her glass, completely different from her usual small sips, looking particularly forthright. "Okay, whether what you said is true or false, I'll take it as true. Go on." Tang Ji pointed to Zhou Heng beside her, signaling her to go and toast him. Yuling Xue nodded, stood up, and walked behind Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran. "You too." Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran turned their heads at the same time, looking at Yuling Xue behind them. She was still holding a freshly poured glass of wine. "I won't toast you separately. These past few months." "Thank you." Before Yuling Xue could finish, Zhou Heng interrupted her directly. Hey. Cut the pleasantries, come on, drink. Clink. Zhou Heng picked up his wine glass, clinked it lightly with Yuling Xue's, and then drained it, leaving Yuling Xue stunned, standing there, her mouth slightly agape. It wasn't an impatient attitude, just a look of not wanting to hear those words. Yin Mingran saw this, let out a laugh, stood up, patted Yuling Xue's shoulder, and said softly, "All right, we're all friends. No need for those words. Just be happy. Cool me. Cheers." She put her arm around Yuling Xue's shoulder, picked up her wine glass with her other hand, clinked glasses, and drank the half glass of red wine in her cup. Okay, cheers." Yuling Xue nodded blankly, her crimson lips touching the glass, and she drank all the red wine. Downing 2 glasses in a row was a bit much for her, as she had a low alcohol tolerance. I'm going to the restroom. Yuling Xue put down her glass and intended to go to the restroom. The restroom inside the private room was occupied, so she went out, planning to go outside. Just as she stepped out, she almost lost her footing and steadied herself against the wall. "Miss you. Are you all right?" A waiter quickly came over, not daring to touch her, his hands hovering in midair, somewhat at a loss. Yuling Xue waved her hand, said nothing, and walked to the restroom alone. She looked at herself in the restroom mirror. Her face was already slightly flushed, and her head was a bit dizzy. She washed her hands, propped herself up on the sink, and stared at her reflection. The faucet was still running, but she seemed to have entered a dazed state. How many people in this world yearn for such an opportunity? You will become my pride, and the pride of your loving grandparents. And your mother. Her father's words echoed continuously in her mind, and her breathing quickened. "Child, this is your best chance to ascend in one step." Yuling Xue shook her head, then took out her phone, opened the case, and took out the small packet of powder from inside. Clack! The phone case fell to the ground. She looked down and saw it. The doll she had tied to her phone case. "I made this myself." Yuling Xue slowly squatted down, picked up the doll, and looked at it in her palm. "Friend, Grandpa, Grandma, Mom," she murmured softly, clutching the doll tightly in her hand. After a while, she put the phone case back on, walked out of the restroom, and there was something new in her palm. Around 7 in the evening, the atmosphere was at its peak because almost everyone who was drinking had reached a slightly tipsy state. In this state, they were more excited, talked more, and even the non-drinking classmates were affected. Yin Mingran had also drunk quite a bit. Because the classmates could see that Zhou Heng wasn't so intimidating today, they dared to have a few more drinks with Yin Mingran. Otherwise, they usually didn't even dare to talk much. Yin Mingran leaned on Zhou Heng's shoulder, her face flushed. Today, she had somewhat pushed her limits. After all, she couldn't spoil the mood, so she had hardly refused any drinks and was now a bit dazed. Zhou Heng gently caressed Yin Mingran's cheek and whispered, "Don't drink anymore. I'll drink for you." "Okay." Yin Mingran's voice was soft and sweet, her eyes a bit hazy. She even disregarded the classmates present and directly wrapped her arms around Zhou Heng's neck. "Ooh la la." The classmates who saw this started to hoot, raising their eyebrows with mischievous grins. They never got to see such a scene at school. The quiet class president, now looking so alluring with her arms around someone's neck, was a complete contrast for them. Tang Yining watched this scene. This was the first time she had seen Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran being so intimate. For a moment, she found it a bit hard to accept. "Shoo!" A whistling sound rang out. Tang Yining turned her head and saw Tang Ji sitting there, staring at her. Tang Ji slowly raised her wine glass, gestured slightly. Tang Yining paused, then also picked up her wine glass, clinked it with Tang Ji's from a distance. The two of them downed their drinks, placed their glasses on the table, and just looked at each other, as if communicating with their eyes. "You're quite devoted, still haven't let go after all this time," Tang Ji said lightly. Tang Yining, however, gently shook her head, denying no. It's a novel, I haven't seen them like this." "Oh." Tang Ji watched Tang Yining lower her head, gazing at the empty wine glass, an interested expression on her face. She tapped the table and said, "So this is the result for you. You're too conflicted, fighting with yourself. What's so hard to admit?" Yin Mingran never hides her liking for Zhou Heng, never acts awkward, and is brave enough to be honest about her feelings. This is what she deserves. And you? You couldn't have started liking him only after you lost him, right? You definitely had feelings before. Otherwise, Zhou Heng wouldn't have been so persistent. He saw hope in you too. But various factors made you keep taking the wrong path. You started weighing Zhou Heng on a scale. In your heart, he wasn't the top priority, not the unwavering choice. So of course he would leave. So you don't need to feel uncomfortable. You and Yin Mingran are not just a little different. You're inferior to her in every aspect. You lost thoroughly. Most importantly, you never steadfastly chose Zhou Heng. In this regard, you're far behind Yin Mingran. Tang Ji became more animated as she spoke, talking endlessly, but Tang Yining kept her head down, motionless. Hey, Tang Ji, stop talking." Just then, Tian Run waved her hand, signaling Tang Ji to stop. After Tang Ji fell silent, she saw Tang Yining's body trembling slightly. A moment later, a tear fell. Tang Ji couldn't help but feel a bit awkward. It seemed she had hit Tang Yining's weakest spot, hurt her, and actually made her cry. Tang Yining covered her eyes with her hands, letting out a muffled sound. Run immediately pulled her and whispered, all right, don't cry, don't cry. Come on, let's go wash our faces. She needed to quickly take Tong Eating away. If she was discovered crying here, it would be terribly embarrassing. Tang Ji watched Tian Run lead Tong Eating away, then poked the fruit on her plate with a fork, muttering, indeed, love is really troublesome. What's wrong? Yu Lingxue also returned at this moment, sitting next to Tang Ji. Seeing Tang Ji's expression was a bit off, she asked softly, nothing, just made someone cry. I'll go check on her. Tang Ji thought for a moment, feeling she should go and comfort her. What she said did seem a bit too much. They were classmates after all, and leaving such an impression at the very end wasn't good. So Tang Ji stood up, left her seat, and went outside. Yu Lingxue watched Tang Ji leave until she walked out the door. Only then did Yu Lingxue turn her head. She glanced toward Zhou Heng's side and found Yin Mingran leaning on Zhou Heng's shoulder, looking a bit drunk, but still able to maintain consciousness, just resting. Zhou Heng also looked a bit tipsy, his face red, but he was still drinking. Many boys at the table were already resting their heads on the table, but Zhou Heng seemed fine, drinking glass after glass. Yu Lingxue picked up the red wine, stood up, came to Zhou Heng's side, and timed it for the moment Zhou Heng finished his glass. Come, Zhou Heng, let me pour for you. Let's have another drink, to you both. Okay, thanks. Zhou Heng didn't say much, just pushed his glass towards Yu Lingxue while he continued chatting with other classmates. Yu Lingxue started pouring wine for Zhou Heng. Halfway through, white powder from her palm mixed into the red wine, quickly dissolving. Yu Lingxue glanced up at Zhou Heng, saw he hadn't noticed, and then pushed the wine back. Cool, me. To you both. Yu Lingxue picked up her own glass. Zhou Heng also picked up the glass Yu Lingxue had just poured and drank the wine in it straight down. Gulp. Watching Zhou Heng drink it, Yu Lingxue's heart was pounding. She kept swallowing, and cold sweat dripped down. What's wrong? Drink up. After Zhou Heng finished, he saw Yu Lingxue still standing there, staring at him, and asked with some surprise. Oh, okay. Yu Lingxue also downed that glass of wine. She felt she was about to get drunk. Her vision was even a bit shaky. After drinking, Yu Lingxue returned to her seat, while Zhou Heng continued chatting with classmates, looking as if nothing had happened. Yu Lingxue looked at the time on her watch, watching the hands move bit by bit, her heartbeat quickening. About 10 minutes. After about 7 or 8 minutes, Zhou Heng's arm accidentally knocked over a wine glass. Hey, what? He frowned slightly, feeling something wasn't right. He felt himself starting to sweat, his body heating up, and his heart rate accelerating. Am I drunk? Honey, what's wrong with you? Yin Mingran noticed Zhou Heng's abnormality, reached out to touch his cheek, and asked softly. Zhou Heng had almost forgotten what it felt like to be drunk. The last time was probably 5 or 6 years ago. He hadn't drunk much in these years, mostly just small sips. So now, this feeling of his whole body burning, he thought he was just drunk. After all, the amount of alcohol he drank today was more than all the alcohol he had drunk in these years combined. I'm a bit hot. I'll go wash my face. Zhou Heng didn't say he might be drunk. He reached out, tugged at his shirt, and unbuttoned the first button. Then, he stood up, preparing to go to the restroom and wash his face. Thump! Just as he stood up, he felt a bit dizzy. He quickly reached out and grabbed a nearby chair, while his cheeks also turned flushed, red all the way to his neck and earlobes. Are you okay? Should I go with you? Yin Mingran looked at Zhou Heng with concern, immediately standing up, wanting to support him. But she had also drunk quite a bit and was a bit unsteady when she stood up. Just then, Yu Lingxue stepped forward and said, Oh, you rest. I'll have a waiter help him. Don't worry. Yin Mingran looked at Yu Lingxue, then nodded without hesitation. Okay, then I'll trouble you. After getting permission, Yu Lingxue followed behind Zhou Heng, and they left the private room together. Zhou Heng felt his body getting hotter and hotter. He wanted to grab a bottle of ice water and pour it over his head to cool down. Phew! Zhou Heng unbuttoned another button, tugged at his clothes, revealing his collarbone. Quick, help mister. Zhou! Yu Lingxue quickly called over a nearby waitress, also giving them a look. The waitresses understood immediately, walked over, one on each side, and supported Zhou Heng. They were young and beautiful girls. Zhou Heng looked left and right, and for some reason, felt his throat was dry, and couldn't help but swallow. Mister? Zhou, please come with us. Okay. Zhou Heng nodded blankly. It was unclear if he had heard clearly, or if he had processed it. Yu Lingxue followed, slowly behind Zhou Heng, occasionally looking back to see if anyone else was coming out. The waitresses didn't take Zhou Heng to the restroom, but directly to the elevator. Yu Lingxue took a deep breath, exhaled slowly, and also followed them into the elevator. A waitress took out a special elevator card, swiped it, and the light for the top floor lit up. The elevator doors closed and went straight to the top floor. The elevator doors slowly opened, and the waitresses led Zhou Heng out. By now, his eyes were somewhat glazed over, his breathing heavy and slightly rapid. They took Zhou Heng to the door of a room, opened it, and inside was a very luxurious presidential suite. The two waitresses carefully placed Zhou Heng on a soft, large bed, and then exited. For a moment, only Yu Lingxue and Zhou Heng were left in the room. A faint, pleasant fragrance permeated the room, making one feel comfortable and even a bit dazed upon smelling it. It felt somewhat hot, the reason unknown. Yu Lingxue looked around. On the sofa, she saw a folded piece of clothing. When she walked over and picked it up, the moment the garment unfolded, she was truly stunned. It was actually a sexy lace slip nightgown. Yu Lingxue quickly tossed the nightgown aside, a faint blush appearing on her cheeks. Zhou Heng panted heavily, his body seemingly starting to tear at his clothes involuntarily. Yu Lingxue slowly walked to the bedside, looking at Zhou Heng lying on the bed, her lips pressed tightly together. After a moment, Yu Lingxue closed her eyes, bit her lip, turned her head to the side, then placed her hand on the strap of her dress, gently hooked it, preparing to pull it down. Inside the private room, Yin Mingran kept staring at the doorway. Every time the door opened, she hoped it was Zhou Heng, but every time it wasn't. Yin Mingran stood up, preparing to go outside, and look for Zhou Heng. Maybe he really was too drunk and had collapsed somewhere outside. Hey, class president. Just then, someone called out to Yin Mingran. Yin Mingran turned around and saw that the person calling her was surprisingly Kongyu. Kongyu, what's the matter? She couldn't drink anymore, and besides, she didn't really want to drink with Kongyu. Kongyu had also drunk quite a bit, his face red, still holding a wine bottle, looking like a drunkard. The next second, he directly squatted down, which startled Yin Mingran. She quickly stepped back, holding down her dress. Class president, can I ask you a favor? Can I take a photo with you all, just one? Yin Mingran was stunned, blinking her eyes in surprise, somewhat confused, not knowing what Kongyu meant. A photo with whom? Hadn't they already taken graduation photos? Was it a photo with her alone? That definitely wasn't okay. She wouldn't take a photo alone with any boy other than Zhou Heng. All right, let's go. A couple more drinks back there will do. Just then, the restroom door in the private room opened, and Tang Ji came out, comforting Tong Yining. Tong Yining was still sniffling occasionally, looking very sad. When Tang Ji returned to her seat, she saw Zhou Heng's seat was empty, and Yu Lingxue's seat was also empty. Her face immediately darkened. She looked at Yin Mingran and asked, Where's Zhou Heng? Where's Yu Lingxue? Just now Zhou Heng said he was a bit hot and was going to wash his face. Then Yu Lingxue followed, saying she'd have a waiter help him. What? Then why didn't you go? Tang Ji's eyes widened in horror. For a moment, she didn't control her voice and asked loudly. Yin Mingran was intimidated by Tang Ji's aura, momentarily speechless. Tang Ji looked to the side and saw Kongyu squatting there. What are you squatting here for? Where are they? I'm asking you, where are they? Where did they go? Tang Ji walked over, grabbed Kongyu by the collar, and questioned him loudly. Kongyu looked dazed, completely stunned, shook his head, and whispered, I don't know. Quick, come with me and find them. Tang Ji dragged Kongyu away without another word. Kongyu didn't react at all and was pulled out by Tang Ji, leaving Yin Mingran and Tong Yining looking at each other, not knowing what had happened, why Tang Ji had suddenly become so agitated. But, just then, Yin Mingran's phone rang. Tang Ji, with Kongyu in tow, hurried through the hotel corridors, her pace urgent. Kongyu could barely keep up, his legs stumbling as if injured. Daring to take advantage of my oversight, I was careless. Tang Ji gritted her teeth, her face fierce, her eyes sharp and cold, looking very angry. She had been wary of Yu Lingxue all night, sensing from the beginning that she might do something, so she had been watching her. But in the time she went to comfort Tong Yining, Yu Lingxue had seized the opportunity. How could Yin Mingran be so trusting as to let Yu Lingxue take Zhou Heng away? How could she trust her so much? Hey, did you see or miss you take a man somewhere? Tang Ji directly stopped a waiter and questioned sharply. The waiter stared blankly, shook his head, and said, I'm not sure. Tisk. Tang Ji clicked her tongue. It seemed she couldn't get any information out of these waiters. Kongyu, check every room for me. Me? Kongyu looked incredulous, staring at Tang Ji, his mouth twitching. Him, knock on every room door? He'd be lucky not to get beaten up. Hurry up. You're saving Zhou Hong. Then Zhou Hong will owe you a big favor. Don't you want that? Hiss, okay. Kong Yu sucked in a sharp breath, then nodded heavily and began searching room by room. Tang Ji walked into the elevator area, pressed the button for the top floor, but it didn't work. It required a card swipe to go up. Swipe this for me. Tang Ji looked at the elevator attendant, pointing at the top floor button, but he shook his head and said helplessly, sorry, I don't have a card for the top floor either. Without permission, one cannot go up. Tisk. Tang Ji immediately took out her phone and dialed a number. The phone rang a few times before it was answered. Hello? Sister Tang, what's up? Hey, Bite Song, get to Yujia Hotel right now. You must be here within 10 minutes. I'll meet you at the entrance. Yujia. Okay, I got it. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Bite Song didn't ask any questions and hung up immediately. Tang Ji also prepared to go downstairs and wait for Bite Song at the entrance. Since she didn't have permission to go to the top floor, perhaps Bite Song, the son of CEO Bai, could. Surely no waiter or manager would dare to stop him. After Tang Ji reached the entrance, it hadn't even been 5 minutes when she saw a sports car speeding over. The speed was quite astonishing. It did a drift right at the hotel entrance, leaving tire marks on the ground before stopping. Screech! Sister Tang, I'm here. Bite Song practically stumbled out, looking rushed, his jacket not even on properly, I'll ask you, and his forehead covered in sweat. Quick, to the top floor with me. Tang Ji grabbed Bite Song's clothes, pulling him into the hotel to the elevator entrance. Bite Song stood at the elevator door and shouted behind him, Where's the manager? Call him over. After a while, a man in a suit and tie came running over, panting, and stood before Bite Song. Do you know me? Yes, young Master Bai, what brings you here? Cut the crap. Swipe the card for me. I want to go to the top floor. Bite Song pointed at the elevator, frowning. The manager grimaced, looking troubled, and said helplessly, This. Young Master Bai, hurry up. Am I not a member here? Don't you know how much money my father has spent here? I can't go to the top floor. This. Of course you can. Of course. The manager really had no choice. Even if he had been instructed by his boss, the person in front of him was equally difficult to offend. And he was right. He did have a right to go up, whether to find someone or to stay. Helplessly, the manager swiped the card, allowing Bite Song and Tang Ji to enter the elevator. Inside the elevator, Bite Song was still panting heavily. After all, he had been running and was now exhausted. Sister Tang, what on earth is going on? Isn't it your class reunion today? Did you Ling Xue cause trouble again? Tang Ji nodded and said softly, Yes, Yu Ling Xue took Zhou Hong away. I think they must be on the top floor. What? Bite Song's voice was extremely shrill, as if he were about to change gender, especially piercing in the small elevator. Tang Ji covered her ears, frowned, and kicked him. What are you shouting for? Damn it. Yu Ling Xue's driven to desperate measures. TSK damn, can't this elevator go any faster? Bite Song no longer looked tired, frantically pressing the top floor button, wishing the elevator would instantly fly up. When the elevator reached the top floor, Bite Song stood at the elevator door, stomping his feet anxiously like someone who desperately needed to pee and wanted to get home to the toilet. As soon as the door opened, Bite Song shot out. Where? Which room? Bite Song looked left and right, then saw a waiter walk straight over, and without a word, grabbed the male waiter by the collar, stared into his eyes, and said coldly, Which room is Yu Ling Xue in? Tell me quickly. The waiter was too scared to speak, then slowly raised his hand and pointed to the largest room at the end of the hall. Tang Ji and Bite Song immediately rushed over, arriving at the door of that room. Tang Ji had intended to listen for any sounds from inside first, but Bite Song couldn't wait any longer. He rushed over and started banging on the door violently. Bang, bang, bang. Yu Ling Xue, stop what you're doing. Young Master Zhou. Cough, cough, Mr. Zhou, I'm here to save you. Me, Bite Song, I'm here to save you. Tang Ji's brow furrowed. She felt they definitely wouldn't open the door from the inside. So even if they had to force their way in, they had to. Otherwise, it would all be too late. I'll count to 3. We kick together. Okay. Tang Ji and Bite Song stood at the door, poised, ready to force their way in. 1, 2, click. Just then, the door suddenly opened. Bite Song almost couldn't stop his foot. Tang Ji frowned tightly, staring at the opening door, and saw a head slowly poke out. Yin Mingran, what are you doing here? To Tang Ji and Bite Song's surprise, it wasn't Yu Ling Xue who appeared, but Yin Mingran. Yin Mingran still hadn't quite recovered. Bite Song's banging on the door just now had really scared her. Just now Yu Ling Xue called me, said Zhou Hong was drunk and asked me to come up. Tang Ji and Bai Tsang blinked, somewhat incredulous. Huh. Then where's Yuling Xue? I don't know. When I came up, she wasn't here anymore. This. Tang Ji and Bai Tsang were both stunned. What on earth was going on? Yuling Xue hadn't done anything. Instead, she had called Yin Mingran over, and she herself had disappeared somewhere. It was truly baffling. Well, all right then. You two get some rest. We're leaving. Tang Ji and Bai Tsang waved their hands and turned to leave. As long as they confirmed Yin Mingran was here, they didn't need to worry. Tang Ji had almost thought Yuling Xue was really going to resort to desperate measures. After all, for the sake of their future and such, they might really do anything. Bai Tsang also breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed Yuling Xue still had some sense. This was what he truly feared. He was a man, after all, so Zhou Heng would never have any thoughts about him. But Yuling Xue was a woman. Using beauty, using her body to gain something, was all too common in his experience. Just on this point, he couldn't compare. If only Zhou Heng liked men. Yin Mingran watched the two leave before slowly closing the door and turning back. She had also just arrived. No sooner had her front foot landed than her back foot heard the banging and shouting outside, scaring her so much she hadn't even walked further in, half of her drunkenness gone. As she slowly walked further in, she gradually heard panting sounds. This panting seemed to be Zhou Heng's. When she slowly reached the inner part, she saw Zhou Heng lying on the bed, breathing rapidly, his chest heaving noticeably, while also tearing at his own shirt with his hands, his forehead constantly sweating. Honey, what's wrong with you? Are you drunk? Yin Mingran carefully walked over, asking tentatively, but Zhou Heng didn't respond. His eyes were closed, his cheeks flushed, looking incredibly hot, a feeling of burning desire. Yin Mingran sat beside Zhou Heng, gently shaking his body, and whispered, "Are you okay? Let me get you some water. You should feel better after drinking some." She didn't know what Zhou Heng was like when he was drunk. Just as Yin Mingran was about to get up, Zhou Heng suddenly grabbed her arm. Yin Mingran was stunned, looked back, and saw Zhou Heng had opened his eyes slightly, squinting, his gaze blurry as he stared at her. Before she could say anything, her body was suddenly pulled over by Zhou Heng. Then he flipped over, directly pinning Yin Mingran beneath him. Yin Mingran's eyes widened in shock, looking at the magnified, handsome face before her. His face was filled with lust, his eyes also hazy. What's wrong with you? Yin Mingran looked at his handsome face, her heart pounding. She had never seen him like this before, and for a moment, she didn't know what to do. Zhou Heng didn't answer her, just buried his head in her neck, lightly sniffing the elegant, fresh scent on her body. This scent seemed to fuel Zhou Heng's desire, making him even more restless. Then he slowly lowered his head, his lips and tongue gliding over Yin Mingran's delicate neck, making Yin Mingran shiver uncontrollably, her whole body tingling. Yin Mingran unconsciously wrapped her arms around Zhou Heng's waist, her fingers involuntarily tracing his strong, firm, broad back, a strange emotion surging in her heart. The next second, Zhou Heng kissed her thin lips without a word, the faint scent of alcohol from his mouth passing over. Yin Mingran closed her eyes, her cheeks flushed, as if an electric current had spread through her entire body. Her lower back arched, her body trembling lightly. Zhou Heng's breathing was heavy. Usually, his kisses were light and gentle. This time, the force with which he sucked her red lips was heavy and wild. But for some reason, she preferred it this time. This feeling of being tightly enveloped by Zhou Heng's strong arms, like a forceful kiss, made her somewhat unable to stop. It turned out, she liked Zhou Heng being a bit forceful. After a moment, Zhou Heng separated from her, straightened up. The next second, his hands grabbed the collar of his shirt. Rip! Yin Mingran's eyes widened. Before her, Zhou Heng directly tore his shirt open, revealing his muscular body. Then, Zhou Heng's powerful hand grabbed Yin Mingran's neck, veins popping on the back of his hand, looking quite forceful. Yin Mingran let out a soft moan, biting her lips seductively, the love in her eyes about to overflow. She reached out her hands, wrapped them around Zhou Heng's neck, and her slender legs also wrapped around Zhou Heng's waist. Honey, I love you so much. All right, stop looking. I've already found them. Tang Ji patted Kong Yu's head, stopping him from knocking on the next door. Where are they? Found them already. Kong Yu was stunned for a moment, catching up to Tang Ji and the others in front, but when he saw Bai Tsang beside Tang Ji, he stood rooted to the spot, slightly dazed. Tang Ji, is this your boyfriend? Bai Tsang's eyes sharpened. He immediately turned around, walked over menacingly, and said in a deep voice, "Say that nonsense again, if you dare." How am I worthy of Sister Tang? Hey. Forget it. He just talks like that. Don't mind him. Tang Ji immediately pulled Bai Song back, not letting him cause trouble. This, however, puzzled Kong Yu. This boy was fair-skinned, tall and thin, quite handsome. Why did he say he wasn't worthy? Let's go. Find Yu Lingxue. Tang Ji and Bai Song searched for Yu Lingxue. They asked a waiter and learned that Yu Lingxue had just been seen going outside the hotel. As soon as they stepped out of the hotel, Tang Ji raised her finger, making a gesture. Wait a minute, I hear her voice. Tang Ji and Bai Song followed the faint sound, and, around a corner, they saw Yu Lingxue. At this moment, Yu Lingxue was leaning against a wall, talking on the phone. Dad, we don't need to resort to such means. I'm working hard. I can get into the company on my own merits. Let's take it slow. I'll start from the grassroots. Dad, please don't be angry. I didn't mean to anger you, but they are all my friends. You know me, I value friendship very much. Yu Lingxue's hand slowly dropped. The call on the other end had already been disconnected. She couldn't say another word. After a silence of more than 10 seconds, Yu Lingxue let out a sound. She leaned against the wall, her head tilted back powerlessly, tears streaming down her delicate face. Then she squatted down, lowered her head. Her other hand still tightly clutched the doll Yin Mingran had given her. Yu Lingxue cried with muffled sobs. The pressure she was under was simply too great. This pent-up frustration exploded in that instant, and she couldn't stop crying. After a short while, a hand patted her shoulder. She jumped, her whole body trembling slightly, and suddenly looked up to the side, finding Tang Ji squatting beside her, and on her other side, Bai Song was squatting. When did the two of them arrive? Yu Lingxue had no idea. Her tear-streaked face, looking like a pear blossom in the rain, had actually been seen by them. Yu Lingxue quickly wiped away her tears with her hand and stammered. You guys, how did you know? I was here. Tang Ji didn't answer, but gave her a thumbs up and said softly, You've already worked very hard. You're amazing. Even Bai Song looked up at the sky, sighed, and said, I'll think more highly of you from now on, Yu Lingxue. You guys. All right. You two accompany me for a few more drinks. Let's go. Tang Ji reached out, pulled up the squatting Yu Lingxue, and helped her stand. What I did, was it right? Yu Lingxue asked softly. She was already a bit lost at this point, not knowing what to do. She had now completely offended her father, and he probably wouldn't care about her for some time. Her future was also bleak. She couldn't see the path ahead at all. Tang Ji shook her head and said, We'll know if it was right or wrong later. But, at least you acted according to your own heart's desires, so don't regret it. I understand. The three returned to the hotel. It was already past 9 o'clock, and the class reunion had ended. The classmates had left one after another. The three of them, however, started their own drinking session in a small private room. After drinking a bit, Yu Lingxue opened up and told them about her difficulties. Tang Ji and Bai Song had actually already guessed, so when she told them the truth, they weren't too surprised. They rather admired Yu Lingxue for being able to pull back from the brink in time. Faced with such a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, she actually chose to give it up. Tang Ji knew Zhou Heng's character very well. He was very responsible. Firstly, he definitely wouldn't develop any feelings for Yu Lingxue, but he also absolutely wouldn't be the type to take advantage and then deny responsibility. However, his relationship with Yin Mingran would be over. He wouldn't hide it. He would confess everything to Yin Mingran, and then he would never have the face to see Yin Mingran again. So he would definitely secretly resent Yu Lingxue. At least Tang Ji felt Yu Lingxue had done the right thing, not putting Zhou Heng in that kind of situation. For now, there seemed to be no downsides. All right, stop waving it around. I've already seen it. Yin Mingran gave it to you. It's really nice. I'm especially envious. Okay. Bai Song said irritably, rolling his eyes at Yu Lingxue. Oh dear, you noticed. I wasn't planning on mentioning it, but since you brought it up, let me tell you, she made this herself, modeled after me. Yu Lingxue picked up the doll, waved it in front of Bai Song, her eyes an expression full of showing off. Bai Song picked up his wine glass, covered his mouth, and muttered softly, Modeled after you, no wonder it's so ugly. Yu Lingxue immediately slammed the table and stood up, glaring at Bai Song, looking as if she wanted to tear him apart. But Bai Song seemed completely unfazed, leaned back in his chair, pouted, and said, If it were modeled after me, it would definitely look much better than yours. She did a good job. Pity the original model isn't up to par. Yo, where's that sour smell coming from? It really stinks. Don't let it stink up my doll. Someone's just saying the grapes are sour because they can't reach them. Huh? TSK. I don't even want to say it. Bai Tsong clutched his head, unable to refute, and directly downed a glass of wine, wanting to swallow this bitter feeling. Of course, he was envious, jealous. This feeling was almost uncontrollable, but he knew that if he showed it, Yuling Xue would definitely mock him relentlessly. In fact, Yuling Xue was already feeling very pleased internally. Bai Tsong's state satisfied her greatly. Tang Ji sipped her wine slowly nearby, put down her glass, and said softly, "You two have done quite well. These past few months, you've worked hard. I'll have a good talk with Zhou Heng, especially about you." Tang Ji looked at Yuling Xue and said seriously. Yuling Xue shook her head and said, "No, I just did what I should have done. It doesn't count for anything." She knew what she did was insignificant, just managing not to make a mistake. Is that so? Maybe the person involved doesn't think so. After chatting for a while, the three of them went back. The next day, nearing noon, Zhou Heng lay in bed and slowly opened his eyes. He felt like he hadn't slept this long in ages. The moment he opened his eyes and regained consciousness, the first thing that hit him was a severe headache. He clutched his head, wanting to sit up, but the next second, the soreness in his body and the numbness in his arm sobered him up considerably. It was only then that he felt there seemed to be someone in his arms, and this touch seemed to be without clothes. Zhou Heng's eyes instantly widened. Memories of last night flooded his mind. He seemed to have drunk too much and then had a drunken fling. He only remembered leaving the table, and then it seemed Yuling Xue had taken him to rest. What happened after that was very blurry. He couldn't remember. He only knew something like that had happened. No way. No. Zhou Heng's heart was pounding, almost about to jump out of his chest. He didn't dare turn his head. He was afraid to see the person in his arms. It wasn't Yin Mingran. But ultimately, he had to face it. Zhou Heng slowly turned his head, looking at the person in his arms. When he saw that the face in his arms was the one he was most familiar with, his suspended heart instantly dropped, and cold sweat broke out. At this moment, Yin Mingran was sleeping soundly in Zhou Heng's arms, her white shoulders exposed outside the blanket, which meant last night they finally... Damn! It was only then that Zhou Heng saw, on Yin Mingran's neck, large patches of hickeys, extending from her neck all the way to her chest. Heavens! Zhou Heng's mouth fell slightly agape as he saw this, and he couldn't help but exclaim in amazement. Did I do all this? What on earth happened to me last night? Usually, when I'm with Yin Mingran, I don't even dare to use a little force when holding her hand, for fear of hurting her. How could I have done something like this last night? Zhou Heng tentatively touched his neck. Only then did he realize his neck was also a bit sore. For a moment, he sensed something was amiss. Could he have these on his body too? He took out his phone, opened the camera, and glanced at himself. The shock made his hand tremble, nearly dropping the phone on his face. The hickeys on his neck were even more numerous, more obvious. Not only that, but there were clear bite marks on his shoulder and scratch marks on his chest. Then he didn't even need to think about the stinging pain on his back. It must be more scratch marks. Were they really that wild last night? Did Yin Mingran do all this? Unbelievable. Zhou Heng put down his phone, tried to recall carefully, but he must have drunk quite a lot, as he had blacked out. He couldn't remember anything that happened afterwards. Just then, Zhou Heng felt Yin Mingran stir in his arms. He immediately closed his eyes, pretending to still be asleep. He didn't know how to face Yin Mingran. It definitely couldn't be like usual. That would seem too cold. Since this had already happened between them, his attitude towards Yin Mingran had to be more cautious, better than before. He absolutely couldn't let Yin Mingran misunderstand him as someone who changes after getting what he wants. Yin Mingran shifted slightly in Zhou Heng's embrace, then slowly opened her eyes. The first thing she saw was the ceiling. Turning her head, she then saw Zhou Heng's body. Recalling last night's events, Yin Mingran's cheeks instantly flushed bright red, and she curled up, snuggling closer into Zhou Heng's arms. The moment she drew near, Zhou Heng felt a particular tickle at his waist, and his body couldn't help but tremble slightly. Exclamation point. Only then did Yin Mingran realize that Zhou Heng was already awake. What should she do now? How should she interact with Zhou Heng? What should she say? She remembered what happened last night, very clearly. Last night, Zhou Heng was like a different person, and then she either influenced or for some other reason also became someone she didn't recognize. Now, just thinking about how she was last night, she felt incredibly shy. She never expected that once she got carried away, she would become like that. Zhou Heng slowly spoke, trying to break the awkward atmosphere. Hearing Zhou Heng's voice, Yin Mingran slowly peeked her head out. Seeing her handiwork on Zhou Heng's body clearly, Yin Mingran awkwardly bit her lip. Good morning. Yin Mingran's voice was very soft, and Very hoarse. Your throat, why is it hoarse? Ah, I. Min Gran was at a loss for words, an undeniable blush appearing on her face. Recalling herself from last night, it was no wonder her throat was hoarse. A hoarse throat meant it had been overused. Zhou Heng turned on his side and hugged Min Gran. At this moment, there were no barriers between them. They were in complete contact. Min Gran buried her head in Zhou Heng's chest, feeling her heartbeat accelerate. Though shy, she really liked this feeling. Last night, you were willing, right? Were you unhappy? Zhou Heng asked cautiously. Min Gran, in Zhou Heng's arms, shook her head without a moment's hesitation. No, I was very happy, because this was our agreement. I've been looking forward to this day. That's good. Zhou Heng hugged Min Gran tightly, relieved. Min Gran could clearly hear Zhou Heng's heartbeat. This warmth made her feel exceptionally secure. Did I really drink a lot last night? How come I can't remember anything? How we even get here? I remember it was you Ling Xue who brought you here. Then she called me to come up. She herself went somewhere. You Ling Xue? Zhou Heng muttered, somewhat surprised. He hadn't expected you Ling Xue to do something like this, going with the flow, to help him. He hadn't known how to fulfill this agreement, and then you Ling Xue had directly arranged it for him. It felt like he unknowingly owed her a big favor. She's actually quite nice. Min Gran also whispered. To be honest, she hadn't expected this situation to happen at all. If it weren't for you Ling Xue, it wouldn't have gone so smoothly. How about today we go have dinner with Liao Hao Miao and the others, and invite you Ling Xue too, if she's willing to come. Okay, I think that's fine. Then let's go home first. Okay. Zhou Heng and Min Gran released their hands and looked around the large room, searching for their clothes. They were both completely naked, not knowing where their clothes had been taken off. Min Gran looked towards the side of the bed and saw her dress, underwear, and other things piled there haphazardly. After all, she hadn't been thinking about anything at the time, just taking everything off in a daze. And Zhou Heng looked at his side and found his clothes. Seemed to have been sacrificed. What's going on? Zhou Heng picked up his shirt. It was completely ruined, even wilder than a rip style. Min Gran glanced back and happened to see Zhou Heng's back. On his broad back, there were many red, swollen scratch marks, some even scabbed over, having bled. Min Gran bit her lip. Had she been that rough last night, to scratch Zhou Heng like this? But on second thought, her mind had completely lost the ability to think at the time. It wouldn't be strange whatever she did. Honey, I'm sorry. What's wrong? Why are you suddenly apologizing? Zhou Heng abruptly turned his head, looking at Min Gran with a blank expression. This sudden apology almost made Zhou Heng's heart stop. It's just, I think I went a bit too far. Min Gran pointed to Zhou Heng's back, as well as the scratch marks on his body, the hickeys on his neck, the bite marks on his shoulder. Anyone who didn't know might think Zhou Heng had fought a wild beast last night. Zhou Heng looked at himself, then smiled slightly at Min Gran, comforting her. These things, it's okay. I actually quite like them. Zhou Heng asked the hotel for a shirt because his own was truly unwearable. He looked like a beggar if he wore it out, as it covered nothing. When he returned, dressed, he found Min Gran still sitting on the bed. She had put on her dress, but hadn't stood up yet, a troubled expression on her face. Zhou Heng walked over and asked, puzzled, Let's go, baby. What's wrong? Min Gran sat there, head bowed, looking embarrassed. Soon, her face turned red again. I can't stand up, my legs are weak. Zhou Heng's mouth dropped open, and he stood frozen, watching Min Gran's head sink lower and lower, as if she wanted to find a hole to crawl into. I'll carry you. After a few seconds of blankness, Zhou Heng squatted down in front of Min Gran. With one hand, he picked up her high heels, and with the other, he gently held Min Gran's slender ankle, helping her put them on. Min Gran covered her face with her hands the whole time. Though embarrassed, she didn't refuse and even felt a little happy inside. After she was ready, Zhou Heng extended his arms and picked Min Gran up. Min Gran instinctively wrapped her arms around Zhou Heng's neck, resting her head on his chest, using her hair to cover her face. Zhou Heng carried Min Gran out the door, preparing to take the elevator down. A waiter witnessed them pass by and leave, pressed the button on his earpiece, and whispered, Mr. Zhou is leaving. Quickly inform you. Zhou Heng carried Min Gran down the elevator, intending to first go to the hotel reception to ask if last night's bill had been settled, and also if their room had been paid for. Although this place belonged to Yu Lingshue's family, Zhou Heng didn't plan to take any advantage. It should be what it should be, however much it cost, he could afford it. He hadn't topped up money in games for a long time and had saved up quite a bit. Now, spending money on Een Min Gran was more addictive to him than topping up in games. Just as he was about to reach the front desk, he saw a figure standing there. Hearing his footsteps, she turned around. It was Yu Lingxue. She had changed out of her exquisite dress and was wearing casual clothes. Seeing Zhou Heng and Een Min Gran, she immediately came forward. What's wrong with Een Min Gran? Is she not feeling well? Or is she injured somewhere? Yu Lingxue asked nervously as she approached. She saw Zhou Heng walking quite quickly, and Een Min Gran was motionless in his arms, her face hidden. Yu Lingxue thought some accident had happened. If Een Min Gran had an accident in her family's hotel, that would be disastrous. Being asked this by Yu Lingxue, Een Min Gran felt even more embarrassed, shifting in Zhou Heng's arms and burying her head deeper. Zhou Heng was also slightly taken aback before replying, it's nothing, just still a bit hungover. By the way, the room fee. Oh, that room is free. Yu Lingxue nodded slowly. Only then did she notice the mutual masterpieces on Zhou Heng's and Een Min Gran's necks. She hadn't reacted when she first saw them, but now that she saw them clearly, her mind went blank. This. It seems these two had a wonderful and unforgettable night. Their feelings are truly good. They've each given the other an exclusive necklace. It's really unbelievable that Zhou Heng and Een Min Gran would create such things. Could it be her fault? Yu Lingxue pretended not to have seen anything and asked, Then, do you want to eat something? I'll have the kitchen prepare it. You'll feel better after eating. It's okay, no need. We'll eat when we get back. Zhou Heng shook his head, declining, and prepared to carry Een Min Gran away. Yu Lingxue quickly followed, saying, Then let's go back together. I happen to be going back too. Zhou Heng turned his head, looked at her in surprise, and asked, Why are you going back there? It's vacation now. Wouldn't you be more comfortable staying here? Yu Lingxue looked left and right, then whispered in Zhou Heng's ear, This is my dad's territory. I don't feel comfortable staying here. It's more freeing to live on my own. That's true. Zhou Heng deeply sympathized. Otherwise, he wouldn't be living on his own either. It was especially freeing. After the group left, the manager found a private car to send them, but they refused. It was just going home, no need for such trouble. So, the three of them casually hailed a cab. After Zhou Heng sat in the back with Een Min Gran, she sat up from his embrace. Yu Lingxue, in the front passenger seat, noticed and turned back to ask, Are you feeling better? Weren't you still hungover? Een Min Gran felt a bit awkward being asked and nodded lightly, replying, Much better. But as soon as she spoke, her voice was raspy, making Yu Lingxue pause. Een Min Gran quickly turned her head to look out the window, pretending not to know anything. By the way, we're having dinner with friends tonight. If you're free, why don't you join us? Zhou Heng quickly changed the subject and invited Yu Lingxue. They owed Yu Lingxue a big favor. Since they considered her a good friend, of course, they should invite her. Me? Yu Lingxue was somewhat incredulous, pointing at herself, as if she couldn't believe what she had heard. Because Zhou Heng had said it. If Een Min Gran had invited her, she wouldn't have been so surprised. Yeah, if it's convenient, come along. Zhou Heng didn't understand why Yu Lingxue was so surprised. They were already friends. What was so strange about inviting her to hang out? Een Min Gran nodded from the side, saying, Yes, Tang Ji will be there too. Aren't you good friends with her? Well, yes, we are. Yu Lingxue then remembered what Tang Ji had said yesterday. So, to Zhou Heng, she had actually done a good deed. Zhou Heng had even proactively invited her to dinner. Then, she hadn't actually failed. She had become friends with Zhou Heng. The plan was still proceeding normally and had achieved great results. There was no need to offend Zhou Heng and Een Min Gran. No need to bear a bad name. And their relationship had even progressed further. Then if she explained to her father, he should be able to understand. Right? She still had hope. There was no need to resort to such extreme methods. According to the original plan, she could still succeed. Well, are you coming or not? Zhou Heng asked again. This time, Yu Lingxue didn't hesitate, nodding repeatedly and smiling happily. Yes, I'm coming. Just as Zhou Heng and the others arrived home, Tang Ji called Een Min Gran. Hello? You two should be home by now, right? Yes, just got home. Een Min Gran had just changed her clothes. Zhou Heng was in the shower, and she was sitting on the sofa outside. 7 o'clock tonight, all right? I've already contacted Zhu Tao and the others. I'll send you the location later. About that, tonight I've invited Yu Lingxue to join us, and also Sister Shinlini. Is that okay? Of course, no problem. I'll tell them in a bit. They definitely won't object anyway. Okay. After they hung up, Zhou Heng also finished a shower and walked out of the bathroom wearing pajamas, toweling his wet hair. Baby, are we going out for dinner tonight? Then I'll go sleep a bit more. I still feel a bit tired. Zhou Heng yawned. Even though he had just woken up not long ago, he still felt very sleepy. Moreover, having just showered made him even sleepier, mainly because last night was too tiring. In Min Gran stood up, came to Zhou Heng's side, pressed against his body, and gently tapped his lips with her finger, whispering, "Okay, you go sleep. I'll be there in a bit." Zhou Heng looked at In Meng Ran's alluring expression, wrapped an arm around her waist, and kissed her lips. "All right, I'll wait for you then." In Min Gran went to the bathroom and looked at herself in the mirror, at the marks Zhou Heng had left on her body. She raised an eyebrow slightly and smiled sweetly. She would feel happy about this, happy because of the marks Zhou Heng left. It was like Zhou Heng telling others that she belonged to him, even wanting to show off a little. She knew this was a bit childish, but for two people in their first love, everything was new, everything would make them feel joyful. In Min Gran took a shower, dried her hair, and reached out to grab her pajamas to put on. But her hand stopped mid-air, paused for a moment, wondering about something. After a few seconds of hesitation, In Min Gran withdrew her hand. She didn't put on her pajamas, just wrapped a bath towel around herself and walked out of the bathroom. She felt so bold now. Before, if she and Zhou Heng accidentally saw each other exposed, they would immediately look away or cover their eyes, feeling extremely awkward. But In Min Gran thought, since she and Zhou Heng had already last night, there should be no need to feel awkward or shy anymore. After all, everything had been seen. They had already been completely open with each other. In Min Gran stood at the bedroom door, still a bit hesitant. After a few seconds of indecision, she slowly pushed the door open. She saw Zhou Heng lying on the bed, eyes closed, not knowing if he was already asleep. In Min Gran first walked to the window and drew the curtains. The room immediately became pitch black, blocking out the sunlight. Then, In Min Gran came to the bedside, untied the bath towel from her body, tossed it aside, and gently lifted the quilt, slipping in. Her little heart was about to jump out of her chest. She had never been so nervous. After all, it was the first time she had taken such initiative. But thinking about how proactive Zhou Heng had been last night, it was probably right for her to be a bit proactive too. In Min Gran laid down beside Zhou Heng. After a moment's hesitation, her body pressed close against his. Then In Min Gran closed her eyes, too embarrassed to open them, and her body even trembled slightly involuntarily. Was Zhou Heng asleep? When he woke up and saw her like this, would he be surprised? Would he think she was very bold? In Meng Ran's hand, originally on her own body, slowly moved. Inadvertently, her hand moved onto Zhou Heng's body. It would have been fine if it just rested there, but she even opened her palm. In Min Gran felt her face burning. Was she being a bit too lustful? It wasn't this serious before. Why was she so lustful towards Zhou Heng now? Was it because of what happened last night? Had it made her addicted to Zhou Heng? Was she really this kind of person? In Min Gran quickly consoled herself. I just love Zhou Heng too much. That's why I'm like this. She felt she was probably the type who became more amorous the more she loved. Essentially, it was because she loved too much. Just as she was lost in her thoughts, Zhou Heng suddenly moved. He abruptly turned over, grabbed In Meng Ran's hand, and pulled her into his embrace, startling In Min Gran. In Meng Ran's body trembled slightly, and she let out a soft moan, like a child caught misbehaving, immediately burying her head. Why are you awake? I've been awake from the beginning. Zhou Heng's words whispered softly in In Meng Ran's ear, making her face flush crimson. You're so bad. Pretending to be asleep, In Min Gran gently tapped Zhou Heng's chest, her whole body curled up in his embrace. Didn't I say? I'm waiting for you. A faint smile played on Zhou Heng's lips as he looked at In Min Gran in his arms, his eyes holding an emotion he wanted to express. Baby. In Min Gran looked up at Zhou Heng's face, so close to hers. Zhou Heng's voice was very soft, very gentle. I drank too much last night. I know what we did, but I don't remember it very clearly. Then what did we do? In Min Gran was somewhat at a loss. She didn't know that Zhou Heng had blacked out last night. But on second thought, this might not be a bad thing for her. Otherwise, if Zhou Heng remembered those wild memories, she would be even more embarrassed. That wild version of herself, she didn't even dare to recall it carefully. Then, Zhou Heng didn't hesitate, directly turning over and straddling In Min Gran, supporting his body above hers, looking into her eyes. In Min Gran was somewhat flustered, her arms instinctively covering her chest, her head turned to the side, not daring to look Zhou Hong in the eyes. Then can you help me remember? Okay. Zhou Heng's face was very close, his warm breath constantly brushing against Yi Mingran's face, making her face hotter and hotter. This sentence from Zhou Hong was like an irresistible magic spell for Yi Mingran, firmly gripping her heart, and her brain gave up all thought. Yi Mingran bit her lip. The arms shielding her body also opened, wrapping around Zhou Heng's neck. She nodded, let out a soft and then Zhou Hong lowered his head and kissed Yi Mingran's lips. Afterwards, their showers had been for nothing. Baby, how about I tell them we'll get together another day? You, get some good rest. An hour later, Zhou Hong lay in bed, holding Yi Mingran, looking at her flushed face and heavy breathing. He genuinely felt a bit heartbroken. He seemed to have been a bit selfish, prioritizing his own desires without considering Yi Mingran's body, whether she was tired or sleepy. But mainly, Yi Mingran was lying there so fresh and alluring beside him, hugging him, her hands still roaming over his body. How could he possibly resist? Yi Mingran closed her eyes, shook her head, and said softly, I'm fine. I'll rest for a bit. And I'll be okay. She spoke listlessly, her voice hoarse, her hands around Zhou Heng's neck, her cheek pressed against him, as if acting cute. Zhou Hong felt his heart tremble. He held Yi Mingran tightly, feeling her warm body temperature. Okay. The two rested like this for 2 hours. It was already around 5 o'clock. The agreed time was 7, so they should get up and get ready. Zhou Hong sat up in bed, turned to look at Yi Mingran, and asked softly, Do you want to shower first? Or should I? Yi Mingran didn't answer immediately. Instead, she sat up, pressed against Zhou Heng's body, and whispered in his ear, I want with you. Zhou Heng's eyes widened instantly, and he gasped, looking at Yi Mingran in astonishment. Yi Mingran's face flushed rapidly red, and her delicate earlobes also turned crimson. She didn't know why she had said such a thing. It was as if it came out subconsciously. Their relationship had become more intimate at a rocket-like speed. This heady feeling made Yi Mingran involuntarily say things she wouldn't have dared to say before, and do things she wouldn't have dared to do before. If it were in the past, she wouldn't even dare to think about it. If Zhou Hong knew her thoughts, he would definitely be scared. After a few seconds of Zhou Hong being caught off guard, Yi Mingran felt a bit embarrassed, quickly lowering her head and muttering, Oh, no way. Pretend I didn't say that. I'll go wash first. Just then, Zhou Hong suddenly moved, sweeping her off the bed in one motion. Yi Mingran cried out in surprise. She wasn't prepared at all. She didn't even know whether to cover her body or her face with her hands. You said it yourself. Zhou Hong looked as if he had been waiting for this moment for a long time. He carried Yi Mingran out of the room and towards the bathroom. Honey, then can we wash with our backs to each other after we get in? No. After a delightful session of mandarin ducks playing in the water, the two were finally ready, and they were starving. Recalling that they hadn't eaten all day and had also showered twice, plus one high-intensity workout, that they hadn't completely collapsed was something, but they were already quite weak. Just as the two stepped out, they saw a car parked downstairs, very familiar, and the person in the driver's seat was also very familiar. Tangji, what are you doing here? Zhou Hong and Yi Mingran stood at the door, momentarily stunned. Tangji sat in the car, holding the steering wheel, and waved at them, signaling them to get in. The two exchanged a glance and got into the car. I was just passing by. Can I pick you up? Zhou Hong and Yi Mingran leaned against each other and sighed. They really didn't have the strength to walk. They had originally planned to call a car, so Tangji come and pick them up was perfect. Tangji glanced at them in the rearview mirror, chuckled, and said, What's wrong? Tired you two out? I'm telling you, you need to be moderate, or your bodies won't be able to take it. Being told this by Tangji, Yi Mingran shyly lowered her head. Zhou Hong, however, didn't care at all and shrugged. Do you even need to say that? We're very clear-headed and rational. Okay. You? Clear-headed? Rational? Why don't you cover up those marks on your necks with concealer first, then talk? Zhou Hong and Yi Mingran gave an awkward smile, unnaturally touching their necks. They had almost forgotten about that. Now, no excuse would work. Their necks were too obvious, clearly visible at a glance. They stopped talking and sat quietly in the back, Zhou Hong resting with his arm around Yi Mingran's shoulder. However, Tangji wasn't about to miss this opportunity to tease them alone. After sneaking a few glances in the rearview mirror, she slowly spoke. You too. Let me ask you a question. Zhou Hong and Yi Mingran opened their eyes, looking at Tangji in front of them, wondering what she wanted to ask. Safety measures. Did you take them or not? Zhou Heng's eyebrows shot up. In Min Gran, however, lowered her head without speaking, clearly reacting faster than Zhou Hong. After Zhou Heng's eyes darted around for a moment, he finally realized this important issue. He seemed to have forgotten. Well, for now, no. Zhou Hong answered very reluctantly, even a bit flustered, feeling like cold sweat was about to break out. Oh, then have you thought about what would happen if Yin Mingran got pregnant? Tang Ji's words instantly chilled the atmosphere. The car became silent. Zhou Hong said nothing, and Yin Mingran didn't know what to say either. For her, if she really got pregnant with Zhou Heng's child, her first reaction would definitely be happiness, extreme happiness. But along with the happiness, there would also be great worry. If she got pregnant, she would definitely have to rest and couldn't go to school. That was the first point. She definitely couldn't delay Zhou Hong. They weren't even married yet. She didn't care, but Zhou Hong would definitely be gossiped about, which would greatly affect Zhou Heng's reputation. Another point, it would also be a great pressure and burden on Zhou Hong. If she got pregnant, Zhou Hong would definitely take responsibility. Yin Mingran firmly believed this. It was unquestionable. So, she couldn't cause Zhou Hong any more trouble. While everyone else was silent, Yin Mingran slowly spoke. If I get pregnant, then I'll go get him. Have the baby. Before Yin Mingran could finish, Zhou Hong suddenly interrupted. Just 3 short words, yet extremely firm, as if not allowing any rebuttal. Exclamation point. Yin Mingran was stunned for a moment, turning her head to look at Zhou Hong, a flash of surprise in her eyes. Zhou Hong gently took Yin Mingran's hand and said, Of course, provided you're willing. Whether it's you or our child, I will take responsibility to the end. Tang Ji glanced at the rearview mirror, met Zhou Heng's eyes, chuckled lightly, and said, That's more like it. It's probably not very obvious, right? Not obvious, I didn't suck hard. But mine is very obvious, isn't it? Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao had already arrived at the appointed restaurant. They looked at the marks on each other's necks, left by the other. It was their first time trying such a thing, and they were very embarrassed. Even a very light, small mark, they were afraid of others seeing it. Not because they felt ashamed, but simply because they felt shy. It's okay. Your hair should be able to cover it. It probably won't be noticed. Liao Haomiao reached out and arranged Zhu Tao's hair, covering the side of her neck, just enough to hide that spot. Zhu Tao pursed her lips and said softly, It's okay, right? Anyway, Yin Mingran and the others are not outsiders. If they see it, they see it. Isn't this very normal? Liao Haomiao waved his hand and said, That guy Zhou Hong will definitely be sarcastic. He was already a bit unhappy because we hadn't invited them to dinner for a few days. Hey, we're here. Just then, they heard Zhou Heng's voice. When they looked up and saw who was in front of them, their bodies leaned back, startled. Oh my God, good heavens. The two of them were still feeling shy about the slight marks on their necks. They really hadn't expected Zhou Hong and Yin Mingran to be wearing a whole necklace of them. Could they really be so unfazed, so unconcerned? Compared to them, their own marks seemed so childish. They even wondered if these necks were really the work of these two. Could humans really do this? Weren't they wild beasts? This was too dangerous. Weren't they afraid of killing someone? Sorry, we're late. Zhou Hong, holding Yin Mingran's hand, sat down opposite Liao Haomiao and the others. His tone and expression were particularly calm, as if he didn't care at all about his eye-catching features. It's okay. Tang Ji also walked in from the door, pocketed her car keys, and replied to messages on her phone. Yuling Xue just told me she'll be here in a bit. She wasn't at home, otherwise I would have brought her along. After Tang Ji finished speaking, she sat down, looked left and right at the two couples, and shook her head helplessly. Why aren't you guys talking? Haven't seen each other for a long time. Don't know what to say anymore. Tang Ji gently tapped the table, trying to wake up the 4 silent people. What have you two been up to these past few days? Yin Mingran blinked, finding a topic. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao exchanged a glance, then slowly said, Just eating, shopping, watching movies, simple things like that. It's only been 2 days, so we couldn't do much anyway. But you two seem to have done quite a lot. Zhu Tao looked at Zhou Hong and the others, in their somewhat weakened state. It was hard to imagine what they had been through. Zhou Hong waved his hand and said, Let's not talk about that. Since it's vacation now, let's go out and play together. Do you guys have any places you want to go? Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao were suddenly stumped. They looked at each other, not speaking, then looked at Tang Ji beside them. Tang Ji shrugged and said, I'm fine with anything you guys decide. Liao Haomiao thought for a moment and said, Summer, how about the seaside? Or hiking? Oh no, no more playing in the water, seriously. Zhou Hong immediately put his arm around Yin Mingran's shoulder beside him, shook his head, and said earnestly, Recalling the last time they played in the water, when Min Gran nearly drowned, he still felt a lingering fear. He wouldn't dare let Min Gran play in the water again. It was too dangerous. Min Gran also nodded very seriously. She didn't dare to swim or anything anymore. It had left a severe psychological scar. Then let's go hiking. Let's think about it again. See if there are any other places we can go. While they were chatting, Yuling Xue also arrived. She had followed the location Tang Ji gave her to the entrance, only to see someone hiding behind the main door, acting furtively, as if peeking inside. This person looks a bit familiar. Yuling Xue squinted, looking closely at the person at the door. It seemed she had seen her somewhere before. She was quite pretty, and her aura was also somewhat familiar. Isn't this Zhou Heng's older sister? The one from Dongzhou University. Yuling Xue instantly remembered this person. Although she had only met her once, the memory was vivid. She had even tricked Bai Tsong into thinking this person was an internet friend. Yuling Xue realized this was a good opportunity, so she tiptoed over, preparing to greet her first and leave an impression. Yuling Xue walked over silently, careful not to startle the other person, and stood about 2 meters away, clearing her throat. Ahem. Hearing the sound, Shun Lini's body suddenly trembled, like a cat with its fur on end. When she turned to look at Yuling Xue, her eyes were filled with hostility. Yuling Xue was startled and awkwardly raised her hands. Well, hello, beauty. I think we should be together. Yuling Xue said in a small voice, sounding less and less confident as she spoke, because she felt Shun Lini's aura growing colder. She didn't have any malicious intent. Why was she being so unfriendly? Shun Lini's eyes and expression were terrifying. She looked Yuling Xue up and down and whispered, "You know me? I've heard of you, but you definitely don't know me. I'm Zhou Hong and Yimingran's classmate, a friend. They invited me for dinner." Yuling Xue quickly explained, looking particularly flustered, as if afraid she'd be killed by Shun Lini if she delayed speaking by even a second. But this explanation didn't seem to gain Shun Lini's approval. She tilted her head, looking somewhat puzzled. "Heard of me? How do you know it's me?" This. Yuling Xue's mind instantly went blank. She had forgotten about this. She couldn't possibly tell the truth, could she? Say that she had seen her when she was stalking Zhou Hong before. She had only intended to leave an impression. She didn't want to leave a bad one. Shun Lini glared at Yuling Xue, her gaze never leaving her, then slowly walked into the restaurant, as if constantly on guard against her. Yuling Xue stood there, looking bewildered. She truly didn't understand. Were all of Zhou Heng's relatives and such very special? One Tang Ji was special enough, but this older sister was even more peculiar, feeling like she would kill anyone who got close. Could Zhou Hong and the others really interact normally with such a person? Yuling Xue sat beside Tang Ji, facing Shun Lini's coldness throughout the entire meal. But when Shun Lini interacted with Zhou Hong and Min Gran, she was like a completely different person, amiable and approachable, exactly like a gentle older sister. This made Yuling Xue unable to understand why she could switch states so quickly, transforming in the blink of an eye. After the meal, Min Gran specifically found Yuling Xue to explain Shun Lini's behavior, hoping she wouldn't misunderstand. She learned that Shun Lini's personality was very socially phobic and reclusive due to past special experiences, even to the point of disguising herself as a hedgehog to protect herself, not allowing others to approach. But internally, she was harmless. Beneath the spines, her belly was still soft. Throughout the meal, they mainly discussed one topic: where to go for the holidays. In the end, they didn't reach a definite answer. Everyone had their own ideas, and any suggestion would inevitably be opposed by someone, making it difficult to find a project everyone was satisfied with. Finally, as it was getting late, everyone went home. They created a group chat with everyone in it, where they could discuss where to go and chat casually. Min Gran and Zhu Tao were the most active, chatting a lot. As for the others, Zhou Hong and Min Gran could share one phone. Tang Ji played games and rarely spoke. Liao Haomiao didn't know what to say. Yuling Xue didn't dare to say much. Shun Lini remained a lurker. Min Gran and Zhu Tao shared many travel destinations in the group, each looking quite good, which made it even harder to choose. Everyone said anything's fine, whatever, and no one made a decision. So in the end, nothing was decided. A few days passed like this. A few mornings later, while Zhou Hong was still washing up in the bathroom, his phone by the sink suddenly chimed. Zhou Hong glanced at it, saw it was a group chat message, and didn't pay much attention, thinking it was probably a message from Zhu Tao or Min Gran. But when he looked closer, he found it was actually from Tang Ji. This piqued Zhou Heng's interest. Tang Ji usually never spoke. Why did she send a message this morning? Zhou Heng, while brushing his teeth, opened his phone and glanced at it. He found Tang Ji had sent an announcement. 3 days later, in the city of Huzhou, a Street Fighter game tournament would be held. It wasn't an official competition, but one sponsored by a company that made arcade joysticks, mainly for product promotion. So, there were no entry barriers. Anyone could sign up. Consolation prizes were various small gifts. The runner-up prize was a product developed by that company, with a total value of about 2,000 yuan. The champion's prize was a red envelope of 28,888 yuan, as well as 2 vouchers for a 3-day, 2-night stay at a partner hotel, including 3 meals a day. The scale of the competition wasn't large, but the rewards were decent, mainly because there were no barriers. Just as Zhou Heng finished reading Tang Ji's message, she immediately tagged him below, asking, "Going?" Zhou Heng stared at his phone, hesitating for a moment. He was indeed a bit tempted to go play, to compete with experts from various places. It interested him very much. But he couldn't just go with Tang Ji alone, right? What about Yin Mingran? Zhou Heng quickened his brushing speed, then immediately returned to the bedroom with his phone. In the bedroom, Yin Mingran was looking at her phone. Seeing Zhou Heng rush in, she smiled and asked, "I saw it. You really want to go, right?" Because we haven't decided where to go yet. And now Tang Ji finally made a suggestion, I think. "It's okay." Zhou Heng awkwardly scratched his head and said in a small voice. Yin Mingran sat up from the bed, came to the edge of the bed, in front of Zhou Heng. "Then let's ask the others. If there's nothing else, let's go. I also saw online that Huzhou has many fun places. It'd be nice to go play there." Okay. Zhou Heng nodded, then immediately replied to Tang Ji on his phone. "I'm definitely going. Are the others going? Let's just go to Huzhou to play, how about it?" After Zhou Heng said this, within a few minutes, Yuling Xue was the first to reply. "Received." Then came Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao. "We're fine with anything. So, shall we pack up and go tomorrow or the day after?" Zhou Heng glanced. The others had no objections. Only Shun Lini hadn't replied. He knew Shun Lini wouldn't speak in the group chat, so he asked Yin Mingran to ask her separately. After chatting for a while, Yin Mingran looked up at Zhou Heng and said, "Yes." She said, "No problem." "Okay, then let's decide whether to go tomorrow or the day after." Zhou Heng sat down directly and started talking in the group chat. Now, Zhou Heng and Tang Ji became the most active in the group chat, even looking up train tickets and itineraries. Yin Mingran was happy to see Zhou Heng and Tang Ji so excited. This was what she thought was the meaning of going out to play. If it could make her beloved, the people she cared about, happy, then going out to play had meaning. Finally, after discussion, they decided to set off tomorrow afternoon. It would take about 2 hours by high-speed rail. They would arrive in the evening, stay overnight, and then they could play for a day the next day. The competition was on the 3rd day. Yin Mingran was still chatting with the girls, discussing going shopping together in the afternoon, when she received a message. Yin Mingran looked closely and saw it was from Zhou Heng's mother. "Honey, what are you doing? Has Zhou Heng taken you out to play? If he plays games all day and ignores you, just tell Mom." Yin Mingran was stunned for a moment, looked up at Zhou Heng. At this moment, Zhou Heng was indeed playing games, but he wasn't ignoring her. On the contrary, she actually wanted him to play more. He had finally shed his burdens and didn't have to focus all his attention on her every day. "No, Mom. Zhou Heng is with me every day. Tomorrow we're even going to Huzhou to play." "Huzhou? Really? I happen to be in Huzhou. Come find me when you arrive. I'll treat you to dinner." "Okay, Mom. Then we'll message you when we arrive." "Okay, then I won't disturb you. Let's talk when you arrive." At this moment, Lu Wei was sitting in a high-end restaurant. After finishing her chat with Yin Mingran, she put down her phone. Opposite Lu Wei sat a man, staring at her intently. Lu Wei looked up, her hands clasped, supporting her chin, a slight smile playing on her lips, and said softly, "Your son is coming. Are you planning to see him?" The next afternoon, Tang Ji, dragging a black suitcase, arrived at the entrance of Zhou Heng's home. Puffed, she blew a bubble with the gum she was chewing, then spat it into the trash can by the door. Just as she was about to open the door to the adjacent apartment opened first. Yuling Xue, looking as if she had been waiting for a long time, wearing a white dress and a sun hat, dragging a suitcase, met Tang Ji's gaze. She slowly raised her hand and greeted softly, "Hi." Tang Ji walked straight over and placed a piece of bubble gum in Yuling Xue's hand. Yuling Xue was used to it. It was like Tang Ji's way of greeting. Tang Ji glanced up at her and said, "You'll stay with me tonight, no problem, right?" This. Is it okay? Yu Lingxue was stunned for a moment, asking with some surprise. It wasn't that she didn't want to stay with Tang Ji, but mainly, she had never stayed with a friend before. What's not okay? Won't this save some money? You stay with me. Zhou Heng and Yi Minggran stay together. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao stay together. Zhou Heng's sister will definitely stay alone. If you want to stay alone, that's fine too. Then, I'll stay with you. Yu Lingxue had no reason to refuse. If she said she wanted to stay alone at this point, it would seem like she disliked Tang Ji. Anyway, it was just sharing a twin room for a night. It should be fine. Okay, when Zhou Heng and the others come out, we'll leave. The high-speed train is in an hour. Tang Ji looked at the time and nodded. Yu Lingxue gently scratched her cheek with her finger and said softly, why don't we buy plane tickets? Isn't flying faster? We could play earlier if we arrive earlier. It's only a 2-hour journey by high-speed rail. Why take a plane? We're not in a hurry. Flying isn't suitable. Oh, I thought arriving earlier would be better. Yu Lingxue had never taken a high-speed train. To be honest, she didn't quite understand why they had to take the high-speed rail. It probably wouldn't save much money. None of them should be short of this amount of money. Why be so frugal? Tang Ji shrugged and replied nonchalantly, that's how travel is. We already live fast-paced lives. When we go to relax, we should slow down the pace. If you want to arrive quickly, aren't you ignoring the fun of the process? Fun. Click. Just then, the door to Zhou Heng's house opened. Zhou Heng and Yi Minggran came out. Moreover, they had also heard the conversation between the two just now. Zhou Heng glanced at Yu Lingxue and slowly said, when you get there, you'll find there's nothing much fun to do. Isn't it just going from a place you're tired of to a place someone else is tired of? The things to do are pretty much the same. Anyway, you definitely won't be interested. Yu Lingxue was at a loss for words. Before she could say anything, Tang Ji continued. After the trip ends, you won't remember those attractions or amusement projects. But you might always remember traveling by high-speed rail with many friends, chatting carefree, wandering in a strange city, enjoying that freedom that's worth remembering for a long time. Yu Lingxue lowered her head and said no more. She had never had such an experience, so she couldn't feel what they felt. Yi Minggran walked up and gently placed her hand on Yu Lingxue's shoulder, saying softly, we don't care where we go. We say whatever or anything's fine because where we go isn't important at all. What's important is the people we go with. I guess so. Yu Lingxue nodded, understanding their meaning. This also made her look forward to this trip a little. Perhaps it would bring her unexpected gains. All right, we should get going. The others seemed to have already arrived at the station. The group set off from Zhou Heng's house to the station. Zhou Heng had tried his best to carry more suitcases, managing 4 at most, and also carried a bag. Yi Minggran felt sorry for him and wanted to help, but Zhou Heng refused. When they arrived at the station, they saw Liao Haomiao and the others waiting for them in front of the station. Shunlini stood quite far away, as if she didn't know Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao. Only when Zhou Heng and Yi Minggran arrived did Shunlini dare to approach. Yi Minggran also knew that if she didn't take care of Shunlini, she would be all alone and very lonely. So Yi Minggran was very considerate of her, walking with her and chatting with her. Let's go take pictures here then, and here. This place seems to be popular for food. Let's go try it too. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao were looking at check-in spots and popular internet-famous foods on their phones, preparing to try them. The group boarded the high-speed train together. For Yu Lingxue, it was her first time. She followed behind Tang Ji, not daring to speak, just doing whatever Tang Ji did. Around 5 in the afternoon, the high-speed train departed. Yu Lingxue was still experiencing the feeling of taking a high-speed train for the first time, but after about 2 hours, they arrived at the station. It was past 7 in the evening, already dark. The 7 of them exited the high-speed rail station and found a hotel nearby, planning to put down their luggage first. They booked a total of 4 rooms, as previously decided. Zhou Heng and Yi Minggran in 1 room, Tang Ji and Yu Lingxue in 1 room, Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao in 1 room, and then Shunlini in her own room. After all, making Shunlini share a room with others was like asking for her life. She would rather stand on the street all night without sleeping. Which bed do you want? Tang Ji and Yu Lingxue walked into the room. She looked at Yu Lingxue, asking for her preference. Yu Lingxue didn't mind, so she casually pointed, then this one. She was still quite nervous, starting to worry if she had any bad sleeping habits. What if she snored or ground her teeth? She had always lived alone, and suddenly living with someone else, she really wasn't used to it. However, she wasn't the only one who was unaccustomed. At this moment, in Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao's room, the 2 of them seemed to be frozen in place. Tang Ji and Yu Lingxue had a twin room, and Zhou Heng and Yi Minggran had a king-size bedroom. Although Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao were also a couple, but staying in a hotel for the first time and in a king-size bedroom wasn't quite right. At this moment, they sat on opposite sides of a large bed, back to back, silent, extremely awkward. There were no twin rooms left. Since they were a couple anyway, they just booked a king-size bedroom. How were they supposed to sleep tonight? After putting away their luggage, they all agreed to go out for dinner together. However, this dinner was quite quiet, as if everyone was preoccupied with their own thoughts. Liao Haomiao, how are we going to sleep when we get back? Should I sleep on the floor? Or should I beg Zhou Heng and Yi Minggran? Let Yi Minggran sleep with Zhu Tao, and I sleep with Zhou Heng? Would that work? Zhu Tao, what should I do? I'm too embarrassed to even take a shower. Do I still need to change into pajamas? Or sleep in my clothes? Yu Lingxue, so nervous. Hope tonight passes peacefully. Hope I sleep soundly. Tang Ji, did I miss any daily quests? Yin Minggran, I need to find an excuse with Zhou Heng. Zhou Heng, are there pinhole cameras in the hotel? I need to check when I get back. Shunlini, so many people. And so, each with their own thoughts, they finished dinner and prepared to go back and rest early. Just before returning to the hotel, Liao Haomiao pulled Zhou Heng aside and whispered, Bro, can we discuss something? Can I sleep with you? Zhou Heng frowned, looking at Liao Haomiao with a puzzled expression, his confusion clearly written on his face. What are you talking about? Are you sick? No, it's just, I'm a bit nervous, a bit scared to sleep with Zhu Tao. What's there to be scared of? Does she know about this? No, I don't know. Smack. Zhou Heng slapped him on the head and whispered, Then you're stupid. Your behavior will make her so disappointed and sad. Go away, go away. Liao Haomiao, having been lectured by Zhou Heng, couldn't say anything more. Thinking about it, if Zhu Tao had proactively suggested sleeping separately, he would definitely feel disappointed too. Liao Haomiao gave up this idea and returned to their respective rooms with everyone else. After Tang Ji returned, she first told Yu Lingxue that she was going to take a shower and went straight into the bathroom. After a few tens of minutes, Tang Ji came out wearing pajamas, sat on the bed, and started playing with her phone. Yu Lingxue looked at Tang Ji's short, still damp hair and her light-colored pajamas and the way she looked down at her phone. For some reason, she felt Tang Ji was incredibly beautiful. Why was a girl who looked so harmless on the outside actually so dangerous? Yu Lingxue faced Tang Ji, unable to resist her curiosity, and asked, Tang Ji, since you were young, you must have had guys chasing after you, right? Huh? Tang Ji looked up at Yu Lingxue, surprised for a second, then went back to her phone and answered, Nah, not really, maybe a handful. I didn't even have friends when I was little. Very few dared to talk to me. How could many people pursue me? I can understand. Yu Lingxue smiled awkwardly. By now, she somewhat understood Tang Ji. Indeed, with her personality, few people would want to get close to her. Firstly, after getting close to her, the difference in abilities would become increasingly obvious. Yu Lingxue had never felt inferior growing up, but in these few months by Tang Ji's side, Yu Lingxue always felt like a loser. No one had ever analyzed her psychology and behavior so thoroughly, as if seeing right through her, inside and out. As long as she was under Tang Ji's surveillance, she had no chance to implement any secret plans. That's why at the last class reunion, she only dared to act when Tang Ji left. She heard that later. When Tang Ji returned and didn't see her, she immediately called Bai Tsong and went to find her. So if Tang Ji was by Zhou Heng's side, all her actions toward Zhou Heng would have to pass Tang Ji's scrutiny first, otherwise, it would never be possible. Thinking about it this way, the person Zhou Heng would need most in the future couldn't be her or Bai Tsong or anyone like that. The most likely one, wouldn't it be Tang Ji? Tang Ji, what do you plan to do in the future? Yu Lingxue asked tentatively. She now felt that Bai Tsong's suspicion was increasingly likely. If she and Tang Ji were enemies in the end, then what was the point of even trying? Me? Tang Ji stared intently at her phone, silent for a few seconds, then her lips curled up slightly, and she said, I don't know yet. I haven't thought that far ahead. But if there's a chance, I'd like to work with Zhou Heng too. After all, working for my brother is better than working for others. Yu Lingxue's heart seemed to stop for a second. She looked at Tang Ji in astonishment, stammering, Huh? Then you mean? You can consider me a competitor. I never said I wouldn't compete. Tang Ji put down her phone, looked up at Yu Lingxue, shrugged, and said nonchalantly. Yu Lingxue was completely dumbfounded now. She hadn't expected Tang Ji to admit it directly. What was she supposed to do? Compete with Tang Ji? In any aspect, she had no chance of winning. She lost thoroughly in every single point. Which meant all her efforts were in vain. All her efforts were futile. Tang Ji took a lollipop, put it in her mouth, and stared at Yu Lingxue, saying, "You can compete with me, but you're not allowed to compete with Yin Mingran for her position, or I won't let you off." "Oh no, I can't compete with you either. Isn't this making things difficult for me? How could I possibly win against you? You're planning to give up already?" Yu Lingxue was stumped by Tang Ji's question, unable to answer. Zhou Heng values relationships. It's true, but when it comes to serious matters, he will consider who is more suitable, not who is closer. Consider more suitable. Yes, for example, a few years from now, if you're more capable than me, more suitable for that position, then Zhou Heng isn't stupid. He wouldn't disregard other things just because I'm his sister. Yimeng Ran's position is irreplaceable, but a job position isn't. Anyone can do it. Whoever is more capable can. It's not like it has to be me. Yu Lingxue sat limply on the bed. After listening to Tang Ji, a feeling emerged in her mind, a feeling that she was quite foolish. Tang Ji glanced sideways at her and continued. "You and Bai Cong were wrong from the very beginning. Took the wrong path, trying to get close. You really don't understand Zhou Heng at all. What you're doing is completely useless." Yu Lingxue also realized this, lowered her head, and ran her hands through her hair. Then she still hadn't reacted, still foolishly making plans. Just then, Tang Ji reached out and patted her shoulder. Yu Lingxue looked up, looking at Tang Ji with a bewildered expression. "From now on, compete with me in ability. Actually, my starting point is the same as yours, maybe even less knowledgeable about business than you. I have to study slowly after getting into university. So don't compete over who's closer. It's useless." That you. Liao Haomiao was currently sitting on a chair, looking at Zhu Tao, who was sitting on the bed. He stammered, wanting to say something, but he fumbled for a long time without being able to form a complete sentence, as if someone was choking him. His brain was working at high speed, thinking about what to say so he wouldn't be misunderstood. Although the two of them had been dating for the past 2 days, it was always in public places. They rarely spent time alone together in a room like this. He had to prove to Zhu Tao that he was harmless, that he wouldn't do anything to her. But now, anything he said seemed a bit ambiguous. "Do you want to take a shower first? If you're worried, I can go out while you shower." Liao Haomiao finally mustered the courage to say something. His voice was very soft, but the room was quiet, so Zhu Tao heard him clearly. "No, it's okay, you don't have to go out." Zhu Tao got up from the bed, took her pajamas and toiletries, and went into the bathroom. She closed the door, locked it, and soon the sound of the shower came from inside. Liao Haomiao suddenly felt like ants were crawling on his body. "Phew, it's no big deal, just act normal." Liao Haomiao stood up and paced back and forth in the room, looking restless. He tried to calm himself down, not to let his thoughts run wild, but his eyes kept involuntarily glancing towards the bathroom. Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran have been living together for a long time. Are they like this too? How would they feel at that time? Liao Haomiao began to ponder. If it were Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran, what would they do? After thinking for a while, Liao Haomiao felt that if it were Zhou Heng, he definitely wouldn't be such a mess. He certainly wouldn't be so easily affected. "Calm down." Liao Haomiao sat down and started looking at his phone nonchalantly, pushing aside all his messy thoughts. Thinking carefully, he didn't need to be nervous at all, right? Even if someone should be nervous, it should be Zhu Tao. He should be more natural. After a while, the sound of water in the bathroom stopped. Then, after the sound of the hairdryer stopped, the bathroom door opened. Liao Haomiao kept his head down, listening to the footsteps, looking at his phone, and nibbling his hand. "I'm done. You can go." Zhu Tao's voice came softly, reaching Liao Haomiao's ears, making his body jolt. Got it. I'll go right away." Liao Haomiao still didn't look up, just nodded and replied softly. Then, he stood up and went into the bathroom, preparing to shower. Right now, he really needed a cold shower to cool down. Zhu Tao sat on the bed, seemingly lost in thought, looking very unnatural. She was actually already a bit sleepy and wanted to go to bed, but she was a little embarrassed to lie down. After hesitating for a moment, Zhu Tao still lifted the quilt and lay down, but only occupied a narrow strip of the bed, even covering herself with just the edge of the quilt. Then she closed her eyes, thinking it would be better to fall asleep quickly, so it wouldn't be so awkward. She had been very sleepy, but for some reason, as soon as she closed her eyes, her mind started to wander. The more she thought, the more awake she became, and that bit of sleepiness disappeared completely. Until Liao Haomiao finished his shower and walked out of the bathroom. He saw Zhu Tao already lying on the bed, but the space she had left for him was way too big. If she rolled over, she would fall off. Ahem. Liao Haomiao coughed lightly. Seeing no reaction from Zhu Tao, he thought she was already asleep. So Liao Haomiao relaxed a lot, tiptoed to the bedside, and slowly lifted the quilt. Liao Haomiao was taken aback. The moment he lifted the quilt, Zhu Tao seemed to move. Was it his imagination? Then he slowly got into bed, lay down, and covered himself with the quilt. Like Zhu Tao, he only occupied one side of the bed, leaving a lot of space between them. Liao Haomiao turned off the light, and the room fell into silence and darkness. They lay like this for about 10 minutes. Because there was a lot of space between them, the quilt couldn't cover them properly, and cold air would seep in. Neither of them was asleep, and both felt a bit cold. But to cover themselves properly, they had to get closer. For both of them, this was a very shy thing. Even though both of them had this intention, they didn't know how to act. They kept thinking they would move in the next second, but they lay there, unmoving, as time ticked by. TSK. Liao Haomiao thought he couldn't let Zhu Tao get cold. He might as well be decisive. He quickly shifted his body and lay in the middle of the bed. The distance between them shortened considerably, and the quilt could cover them well. Just then, Zhu Tao also moved. She seemed to have been waiting for Liao Haomiao. Seeing him take a step, she thought she should also take the initiative. She turned over. She had been lying with her back to Liao Haomiao, but now she was lying flat. Then, one hand tentatively reached out towards Liao Haomiao. After carefully fumbling, she touched Liao Haomiao's hand. Before Liao Haomiao could react, Zhu Tao directly grabbed his hand. Liao Haomiao opened his eyes, turned to look at Zhu Tao, and whispered, "You're not asleep? I thought you were asleep." "Not yet," Zhu Tao whispered back. Both of them were speaking in hushed tones, as the room was too quiet, and even the slightest sound could be heard. "Me neither. I can't really sleep either." They'd both been lying in bed for over half an hour, but still couldn't fall asleep. Their hands were clasped tightly. Even without speaking, they could sense each other's meaning. After a while, Liao Haomiao slowly spoke. Since we can't sleep anyway, how about we watch a movie?" Okay." Liao Haomiao turned on the projector in front of them, preparing to watch a movie with Zhu Tao, hoping it would at least improve their atmosphere a bit. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao's eyes widened instantly, looking at each other in astonishment, as if stunned. "What sound? It seems to be coming from next door." The ones next door are Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran. That just now seemed to be. Zhu Tao realized something, immediately covered her head with the quilt, and hid herself. Liao Haomiao also reacted, gave a wry smile, and said softly, "Let's turn up the TV volume a bit." Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao fell asleep halfway through their movie. The next morning, after everyone had woken up, they arranged to have breakfast together. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao were relatively late. The others could wash up and get ready together, so they were quicker, but these two took turns, so they were a bit slower. By the time they arrived, the others had already sat down and started eating. "Good morning, everyone." "Morning. How did you sleep last night?" Tangji looked at Zhu Tao and Liao Haomiao, raised an eyebrow, and asked. The two exchanged a glance and answered in unison. "Okay." Then, they both simultaneously glanced at Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran. At this moment, Zhou Heng was still putting food on Yin Mingran's plate, and Yin Mingran was thoughtfully wiping Zhou Heng's mouth. They looked extremely happy. "What's wrong with you two? Eat up." Yin Mingran saw them staring blankly at her, blinked, and asked with confusion. Okay." Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao lowered their heads and started eating, but their minds couldn't help but think about last night's events. Thinking about Zhou Heng and Yin Mingran, it was simply unimaginable. Tangji scanned the group and asked, "What's the plan for today? Are we moving together or separately? We came out to play together, so let's stick together. Where should we go?" Zhou Heng looked at the others, asking for their opinions. To be honest, it was really difficult to choose a place that everyone would be satisfied with. Tangji spoke first. "I want to go see the competition venue. I heard there's a practice match today. Sounds fun." Liao Haomiao glanced at Zhu Tao and said, "We want to visit some popular internet check-in spots." I'm fine going anywhere," Yuling Xue said softly. She didn't have any particular place she wanted to go. She would just follow the others. Shenlini had even fewer requirements. If Yin Mingran or Zhou Heng weren't with her, she would go back to the hotel and stay there. "Then, let's split up. With so many of us, it's really hard to decide where to go." Zhou Heng looked at Yin Mingran beside him, wanting to ask her opinion. Yin Mingran was typing on her phone. After a while, she looked up at Zhou Heng and said, "Honey, I plan to go find Mom." Are you coming? Mom said if you don't come, you can go play first, and I'll go find her. Then we can meet up in the afternoon. Okay, then you go. I'll go play at that practice match with Tang Ji first. Zhou Heng nodded. If Yin Min Gran went to find his mother, he could rest assured. Otherwise, if he went to play games, he definitely wouldn't be able to take care of Yin Min Gran. Yin Min Gran turned to Shun Lini and said, Sister, will you come with me? Okay. Shun Lini responded softly and nodded. Besides staying with Yin Min Gran, she had no other choice, even if it meant meeting her aunt. This pretty much sorted things out. Zhou Heng and Tang Ji would go play games, Liao Hao Miao and Zhu Tao would go to check-in spots, Yin Min Gran and Shun Lini would go find Zhou Heng's mother, and finally, only one person was left, Yuling Xue. She didn't know where to go. She could follow any of the three groups. She had no problem with that. But now, she seemed to be left out. She was too embarrassed to say anything, as no one had invited her. Yin Min Gran noticed her awkwardness and quickly said, Yuling Xue, if you're free, why don't you come with us? Is that okay? Huh? Okay. Yuling Xue was stunned for a moment, then nodded repeatedly, a surge of gratitude for Yin Min Gran welling up inside her. If no one had invited her, she couldn't just go play alone. She would have had to go back to the hotel. Shun Lini, beside her, glanced at Yuling Xue, her expression as cold as ever. She didn't have a good impression of Yuling Xue. Their first meeting had scared her. But since Yin Min Gran had personally invited her, she said nothing. After everyone had finished eating, they began to move in separate directions. Zhou Heng and Tang Ji went to the place where the competition was to be held tomorrow. It was in the city center, very crowded and bustling. Tang Ji glanced at Zhou Heng beside her and asked, I say, aren't you going to accompany Yin Min Gran? Won't she be unhappy? I'll accompany her properly after the competition tomorrow. She also told me last night to go have fun. Oh, it's really reassuring to have such a girlfriend. You should cherish her. Goes without saying, definitely. Zhou Heng thought about Yin Min Gran's side. With Shun Lini and Yuling Xue, there shouldn't be any problems. Besides, she was going to find his mother. Staying with his mother was safer than staying with him. That was for sure, so there was nothing to worry about. The two arrived at the venue. The main stage wasn't set up yet, and a notice was posted stating that those who wanted to participate in the practice match should go to the adjacent shopping mall. Inside the shopping mall, in the first-floor lobby, a crowd had gathered, watching the large screen in front. Currently, a match was in progress on the large screen, but the situation was almost entirely one-sided, a complete rollover. Below the screen, two people sat on either side, operating joysticks. However, one person was so agitated his face was visibly red, while the other looked particularly relaxed, as if not treating it as a competition at all, just passing the time. Soon, a winner was decided. The loser left the stage, while the winner remained seated, waiting for the next challenger. The posture of the strong player sitting there looked extremely confident, as if no one could defeat him. He was a young man who looked to be around 20, chewing gum, his eyes tinged with a bit of coldness. So strong. Who could possibly beat him? He'll definitely be the champion tomorrow, too. Can't compare. The onlookers exclaimed in admiration. They had been watching for a long time. Since that young man went up, he hadn't come down, never losing. The line of people wanting to challenge him was long, none of them his match. This made those who wanted to challenge him shrink back, even considering withdrawing from tomorrow's competition. With such an opponent, it was impossible to win. Participating would just be a waste of time. Zhou Heng and Tang Ji had also finished watching from below. Zhou Heng asked softly, what do you say? Quite skilled. The combos are clearly self-created. I haven't seen anyone use them. Then, before Zhou Heng could finish, Tang Ji shook her head. Useless. Strong on the outside, weak on the inside. Can bully novices, that's all. Then why don't you go up and give him a try? Zhou Heng pointed upwards, speaking to Tang Ji. Tang Ji smiled faintly, looked at Zhou Heng, and said, letting me go up this early? If he wants to take me on, he'll have to beat you first, right? Huh? Are you saying I'm weaker than you? You tell me. How long has it been since you last played? I admit you have a talent for games, but after not playing for so long, you must be rusty, right? Well, I can't argue with that. Zhou Heng muttered helplessly. He knew Tang Ji was right. No matter how good he was at games, if he didn't play for a long time, his skills would definitely get rusty. So, just think of it as a warm-up. Go up and give it a try. If it really doesn't work out, I'll go up. Tang Ji patted Zhou Heng's shoulder and gave him a push forward, wanting him to go and face the guy. TCH, what do you mean if it really doesn't work out? You make it sound like I'm definitely going to lose. Zhou Heng grumbled irritably, then walked forward, passed through the crowd, and headed straight for the stage. Hey, someone's going up. Still some who don't give up, huh? How long do you think this one will last? I'm guessing 2 minutes. He doesn't look like he knows how to play games. More like a gym goer. Did he get lost? Zhou Heng ignored the comments from the surrounding people and walked onto the stage. He glanced at the guy, who didn't even lift his head, staring intently at the screen in front of him, seemingly unconcerned about who had come up. Zhou Heng didn't waste words either, sat down in the other seat, and started selecting his character. The opponent's attitude was still very casual, as if he was about to yawn any second. Soon, the match officially began. The opponent used the same tactics as before, unleashing his combos. Almost no one could perfectly defend against them. Once caught in his combo, it was very difficult to make a comeback. Oh, hey, there's something to this. A murmur went through the crowd below. They saw Zhou Heng skillfully neutralize the opponent's offense, and the opponent didn't gain any advantage at all. The guy opposite didn't react much, just narrowed his eyes slightly. Not fighting? If you're not fighting, then I will. Zhou Heng switched from defense to offense and began to attack. His playstyle repeatedly put the opponent at a disadvantage, gaining him quite a few advantages. Seeing this, the onlookers below became somewhat agitated. Tang Ji let out a helpless chuckle and muttered, I give up. When did he secretly learn this? Isn't this my combo for him? Soon, the first round ended. Zhou Heng won. The crowd below immediately cheered. They had been watching for so long, and it was always that guy dominating. Finally, someone had ended his reign. Zhou Heng let out a breath and muttered, he was careless. I might not win the next one. Zhou Heng didn't relax. He knew he had won by exploiting an opening. The opponent had won too many times and had become very careless, which was why he could win. If the opponent got serious next, it would really be hard to say. He could already feel that the opponent was very strong. Just as Zhou Heng was preparing for the next round, the opponent suddenly let go of his controls and stood up. Huh, what's going on? Not playing anymore. Could it be he's admitting defeat? No way. He only lost one round. He really can't take a loss, huh? His pride must be hurt. Is he going to cause trouble for the other guy? Zhou Heng was somewhat surprised. He looked up and saw the guy opposite him slowly walking towards him. He was tall and thin with very fair skin, but he walked without any sense of power, as if he lacked energy. What's your name? The guy walked up to Zhou Heng, looked at him, and asked, My name is Zhou Heng. What's wrong? Not playing anymore. Zhou Heng, it's not interesting playing today. I hope to see you in tomorrow's competition. No problem. But you don't need to consider me your opponent. There's someone much better than me. Zhou Heng shrugged, speaking nonchalantly. What? The guy's expression changed instantly, and he frowned. If you're not playing, I'm leaving. Zhou Heng stood up and left, walking off the stage under the gazes of the numerous onlookers and the guy. He went over to Tang Ji, who asked in confusion, What? He's not playing anymore. Yeah, probably wants to hold back, afraid of revealing too much. Let's not play here either. Let's go somewhere else. Makes sense. Zhou Heng and Tang Ji left, preparing to find another place to play, so as not to reveal too many tactics here, which would be detrimental to tomorrow's competition. And the guy on the stage, frowning, watched Zhou Heng and Tang Ji leave, his face darkening. He was thinking what Zhou Heng had just said about someone better than him. Was it the girl next to him? A girl? Better than him? Telling him to consider that girl a formidable opponent? Was he joking? After a moment, the guy snorted coldly, the corners of his mouth turned up slightly, he nodded and muttered, all right. I'll be waiting. I want to see what happens tomorrow. Don't move. Head a little more this way. Good. Done. Take a look. Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao had arrived at an influencer check-in spot, planning to take lots of photos so their trip wouldn't be in vain. Zhu Tao looked at the photos Liao Haomiao had taken for her. After flipping through a few, she fell silent. She admitted Liao Haomiao was quite good at taking scenic photos, but when it came to people, it was a bit abstract. Oh, it's okay. I can edit them. Let's go to the next spot. Zhu Tao smiled and took Liao Haomiao's hand, wanting to go elsewhere. Liao Haomiao wasn't stupid. He knew he had taken terrible photos. He hung his head in embarrassment and said, Let me go buy you an iced drink. We'll leave after that. Okay. I'll wait for you here. Liao Haomiao went to buy drinks, his face full of distress, annoyed at his own clumsiness. Meanwhile, Zhu Tao sat on a rocking chair, looking at the photos on her phone, trying to see if any could be salvaged. Zhu Tao, is it you? Zhu Tao heard someone call her name. She looked up in confusion and saw a boy in white clothes in front of her. Zhu Tao stared at the boy for a few seconds, blinked, and didn't recognize who he was. The boy chuckled, reached out, and gently poked Zhu Tao's head, saying softly, No way? You forgot me already? It's me, Shui Yin, your middle school classmate. Zhu Tao's eyes widened in surprise. Ah, Shui Yin, it's you. What are you doing here? I came to have some fun. I didn't expect to run into you here. What a coincidence. You, what? Are you alone? Ah, I'm not. I'm waiting. Before Zhu Tao could finish her sentence, Shui Yin interrupted her, saying, Are you taking photos here? Let me help you. No, it's fine. Zhu Tao waved her hands repeatedly, trying to refuse, but Shui Yin thought she was just being polite and directly took out his phone. It's okay, just stand anywhere. I'll take them and send them to you. Shui Yin held his phone, ready to take pictures of Zhu Tao. Zhu Tao covered her face, feeling very embarrassed, thinking to herself how this person was still the same as before, always saying whatever he wanted without caring about what others thought. I've sent them, take a look. After a short while, Shui Yin sent the photos he had taken to Zhu Tao. They were middle school classmates and had added each other as friends before, but they hadn't spoken much. Zhu Tao reluctantly took out her phone and glanced at it. She had been covering her face just now, but she had to admit the photos were actually quite good. The angle and lighting were well adjusted, and she couldn't find any fault. How is it? Pretty good, right? Shui Yin walked over to Zhu Tao, pointed at the photos on her phone, and asked with a smile. Liao Haomiao, holding 2 drinks, stopped in his tracks not far away. The smile on his face slowly faded. He had only been gone long enough to buy drinks. How'd another guy appear next to Zhu Tao, and they were standing so close? Shui Yin, Liao Haomiao frowned. After recognizing the person, his heart sank. They were all middle school classmates, but Liao Haomiao had a strong impression of Shui Yin. His grades in middle school were very poor, so he was forced to separate from Zhu Tao. Shui Yin's grades, however, were very good, and rumors about him and Zhu Tao often circulated in class, saying that they should be a couple, that they were more suitable for each other. Shui Yin had not only never denied it, but on some occasions, he had even vaguely acknowledged these rumors. He seemed to quite enjoy the rumors about them. Liao Haomiao had been provoked by him. At that time, he really thought that after Zhu Tao broke up with him, she got together with Shui Yin. So, in a fit of anger, he deleted both Zhu Tao and Shui Yin as friends, and from then on, strived to study hard, initially to surpass Shui Yin. Later, when he stopped caring, he completely stopped thinking about such things. Why is he here? Liao Haomiao was completely stunned. He originally thought he would never meet him again. After his relationship with Zhu Tao improved, he had completely forgotten about him. Why would he encounter him at this time, in this place? He seems to be taking photos for Zhu Tao. Liao Haomiao noticed what the two of them were doing. It seemed Shui Yin was taking photos for Zhu Tao. This sent a chill through him. He knew his photography skills were terrible, and he understood how important it was to have a boyfriend who was good at taking photos. Especially with a girlfriend as beautiful as Zhu Tao, he felt truly guilty and sorry for not being able to take good pictures of her. If he couldn't take good photos himself, could he stop others from helping? Who was to blame for his poor photography skills? Wouldn't it be fine if he knew how to take photos? Thinking of this, Liao Haomiao sat down on a flower bed nearby, quietly watching the two from a distance, planning to wait until Shui Yin finished taking photos for Zhu Tao before going over. A surge of bitterness welled up in his heart. Although his academic performance had improved, he was probably still very lacking in other aspects. He had always been a terrible person. Only now he had gritted his teeth and forced his grades up. Good grades might be useful in school, but what about outside of school? Could he keep Zhu Tao by his side with just good grades? Come, let me take a few more for you. Seeing Zhu Tao seemed relatively satisfied, Shui Yin stepped back a couple of paces, wanted to take a few more photos for her. However, Zhu Tao didn't intend to let him take any more. The previous one was taken without her permission. No more photos. I'm waiting for my boyfriend. My boyfriend has already taken photos for me. Zhu Tao waved her hands repeatedly, telling Shui Yin in a very clear voice. Shui Yin's hand, which had just raised his phone, slowly lowered. He looked at Zhu Tao with a blank expression. Boyfriend? You have a boyfriend? Shui Yin looked completely incredulous, blinking his eyes. Yes, he went to buy water. He'll be back soon. Zhu Tao nodded very firmly. Liao Haomiao was sitting not far away, but he couldn't hear what they were saying at all. At this moment, he remembered that he had only bought 2 drinks. Since that guy Shui Yin had helped take photos, he should probably buy him a drink too, to thank him. Thinking of this, Liao Haomiao stood up, preparing to go buy another one. Just as he stood up, Zhu Tao noticed him. Liao, honey, come here quickly. Look who we ran into. Zhu Tao raised her hand, shouting loudly, calling for Liao Haomiao. Hearing her voice, Liao Haomiao's eyes widened. He turned his head in surprise to look at Zhu Tao, who was waving at him. The key was she called him, honey, so intimately. Shui Yan also turned his head to look behind him, and his eyes met Liao Haomiao's. In that instant, Shui Yan's brow furrowed slightly, and he muttered, Liao Haomiao, right? How is that possible? He wasn't sure, but even if the person in front of him had changed a lot, he could still recognize him as Liao Haomiao. But he couldn't believe it. Zhu Tao's boyfriend could be anyone, but it was least likely to be Liao Haomiao. Seeing Liao Haomiao didn't react, Zhu Tao walked over and linked her arm with Liao Haomiao's. Come on, we're all classmates, aren't we? After pulling Liao Haomiao over, Zhu Tao said to Shui Yan, since you're so good at taking photos, then take a few pictures of me and my boyfriend together. Thank you. Zhu Tao led Liao Haomiao to the photo spot. Then, Zhu Tao leaned on Liao Haomiao's shoulder, made a peace sign at the camera, and smiled genuinely. Shui Yan nodded blankly, took out his phone, and took a few pictures of them. Then, he sent them to Zhu Tao. Zhu Tao looked at the photos on her phone, nodded with satisfaction, then took Liao Haomiao's hand and walked over. Shui Yan, we're in a hurry. We have to go play somewhere else. Those 2 drinks, you can have them. Consider it a thank you, okay, honey? We'll buy more later. Zhu Tao turned to look at Liao Haomiao, pointing at the 2 drinks placed there, asking him. Liao Haomiao nodded and replied, of course. No, all right, goodbye. Zhu Tao didn't give him a chance to say anything more, casually said goodbye, and directly pulled Liao Haomiao away. For some reason, Liao Haomiao felt incredibly exhilarated at this moment. He had been sitting there feeling inferior and self-pitying, but Zhu Tao had directly propped him up. After walking a few meters, Liao Haomiao turned his head, looked at Shui Yan, who was frozen in place, waved his hand with a smile on his face. We're off. Bye-bye. Thanks for helping my girlfriend take photos. Shui Yan tilted his head, his mouth twitching, veins popping on his forehead, and his cheeks reddened visibly. He truly couldn't believe that Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao had gotten back together. On what grounds? Just then, a man smoking a cigarette walked over and stood in front of Shui Yan. Hey, buddy, I've been watching from the side for a while. Are you a photographer? How much for a photo? F me. Shui Yan was so angry he cursed aloud, glaring at the man. The man immediately frowned. He was tattooed with dragons and tigers, clearly not someone to mess with. Shui Yan's anger instantly deflated by half. He clicked his tongue and said in a small voice, Bro, no charge. Want one? At this moment, Liao Haomiao and Zhu Tao were already in the car, heading to the next check-in spot. Liao Haomiao sat bolt upright, not knowing what to say. He wanted to ask Zhu Tao why she had run into Shui Yan, but on second thought, there was no need to ask anymore. Zhu Tao leaned on Liao Haomiao's shoulder, scrolling through the photos on her phone. Then she picked a few and posted them on her Moments, with a photo of the 2 of them in the middle. I will rush towards you without hesitation. This time, every time, always. Liao Haomiao opened his Moments and saw what Zhu Tao had just posted. In the photo of them together, he looked a bit shy and a bit reserved, but his face was full of happiness. The rest of the photos were actually all taken by him. None were taken by Shui Yan. Liao Haomiao couldn't help but ask, didn't Shui Yan take photos for you? Why aren't you using them? The ones I took are so bad. They were taken by you, so they're special. The meaning of these photos is different. Besides, I don't think they're bad at all. Trust my photo editing skills. Zhu Tao chuckled, raising her arm to hug Liao Haomiao's shoulder. Liao Haomiao reached out, held Zhu Tao's hand, took a deep breath, and said softly, I will work hard and strive to be the best in every aspect. Liao Haomiao had secretly decided, since he could go from being last in studies to first through hard work, then he had the ability to work hard and become the best in other areas too. Zhu Tao was slightly taken aback, then understood what Liao Haomiao meant. A faint smile appeared on her lips. You don't have to be the best. As long as it's you, it's good. In my heart, you're already the best. Okay, Mom. Yes, we're heading over now. It's fine. You don't need to pick us up. We'll just treat it as a walk. In Min Gran hung up the call with Lu Wei, found out where to go, and then prepared to go over with Shun Lini and Yuling Xue. In Min Gran checked the navigation and said, It's about 1 kilometer. Shall we walk? Take a stroll. And Mom said she'll be free in 10 minutes anyway. Okay. Shun Lini nodded, having no objections. Yuling Xue had even fewer objections and followed behind the 2. The thought of meeting Zhou Heng's mother made her extremely nervous, because she knew Zhou Heng's father's identity. Zhou Heng's mother definitely wouldn't be an ordinary person. In Min Gran, I wanted to ask, what kind of person is Zhou Heng's mother? Mom, In Min Gran paused, looked up and thought for a moment, then replied, "At first glance, she's a very, very beautiful and elegant person. Her eyes are full of gentleness, her words are full of love, and she's especially protective of her own." As Min Gran spoke, a smile unconsciously appeared on her lips. Shunlini also nodded in agreement beside her, adding, "Is that so?" Indeed, Zhou Heng's mother must be quite remarkable. Yu Lingxue nodded. Listening to Min Gran's description, it was as if she could picture her. She truly seemed like a very good person. "Auntie, what's the matter?" Shunlini seemed even more nervous than Yu Lingxue. She walked a bit unsteadily, kept her head down, and her voice was very soft and trembling when she asked the question. In her memory, it had been a long time since she had seen her aunt. The last time I met was several years ago. That time, she had mustered the courage to greet her and talk to her. She seemed very happy, bought her many things, but didn't praise her too much, as if she knew that too much praise would make her feel particularly awkward. Even her own mother couldn't be so considerate of her feelings. "Mom said she's treating us to a meal. Maybe she just wants to see us." Min Gran didn't know exactly what was going on, thinking it was just a simple meal. After a while, Shunlini faintly uttered, "Then, will Uncle be there too?" "Hic." At this, Yu Lingxue seemed to choke on something, let out a hiccup, and her eyes widened. "Mr. Zhou be there too? Are you kidding me? Such an important person, and she was going to meet him? And she was dressed so casually? Shouldn't she have worn something more formal?" "Zhou Heng's father. I don't know. To be honest, I've never met him." Min Gran shook her head. Zhou Heng's father seemed too mysterious to her. She only ever heard bits and pieces about him from others at certain times. Yu Lingxue bit her lip. She actually hadn't met Zhou Heng's father either. She simply hadn't had the chance. I've met him." Min Gran and Yu Lingxue simultaneously looked at Shunlini, their faces full of surprise. Shunlini nodded and said, "That was when I was little. Auntie and uncle, with Zhou Heng, came to our house once. My memory is a bit vague, but uncle seemed to have said something to me." "What did he say? What did he say?" Min Gran and Yu Lingxue asked in unison, looking at Shunlini, impatient to know. Shunlini was startled by the two of them, took a step back, and said in a small voice, "It was probably just something to coax a child. He said if I had any difficulties in the future, I should go to him, and he could solve them all." "Oh," Min Gran nodded. That indeed sounded like something one would say to coax a child. She had heard similar things when she was little, but Yu Lingxue knew how much weight those words carried. It was no joke, it could actually be realized. "After that, I never saw Uncle again. He seemed very busy." "Yes, probably. He must have a lot of work to attend to." Min Gran and Shunlini chatted, while Yu Lingxue listened beside them, stunned, blinking her eyes, somewhat astonished. "Wait, do you guys really not know what Zhou Heng's father does?" "No, we don't." Min Gran and Shunlini both shook their heads, their faces full of puzzlement. Min Gran had never heard Zhou Heng mention it, and, as far as she knew, Zhou Heng didn't seem to know much either. But looking at Yu Lingxue, it seemed like she knew. "Do you know?" This. I don't know." Yu Lingxue paused, then shook her head, denying it. In reality, she knew very well, but considering neither of them knew, perhaps it was deliberately concealed. It certainly wouldn't be appropriate for her to reveal it at this time, so Yu Lingxue didn't say anything. Perhaps Tang Ji had known all along. With her intelligence, she would definitely investigate. Knowing her and Bai Tsang's backgrounds would be quite simple if she wanted to find out. But even Tang Ji hadn't said anything, so she definitely shouldn't. The three of them chatted while strolling, and soon arrived at the agreed-upon destination, a family restaurant, not too big, not too small. This surprised Yu Lingxue quite a bit. She had thought they would definitely go to the best hotel in town or something like that. The three walked in and found a table. "Mom said she'll be here soon. Told us to wait a bit." Min Gran had also contacted Lu Wei, who said she would arrive shortly. Min Gran was very happy to see Lu Wei again, while Shunlini and Yu Lingxue seemed a bit nervous. "I'm here, my darlings." Just then, the three heard a gentle voice. Min Gran, hearing the familiar voice, quickly looked up to the side. Standing there was Lu Wei. Min Gran immediately beamed and stood up. "Mom, you're here." Shunlini then slowly stood up, as if mustering great courage, and said in a small voice, "Auntie, long time no see." Lu Wei smiled happily, reached out, and hugged Shunlini, saying softly, "Yes, little Lini has grown up, become a young lady. Annie missed you." And Yu Lingxue, the moment she looked up and saw Lu Wei, was utterly stunned. The person before her, she had seen her before. After talking with her father under immense pressure with a sprained ankle, crying by the roadside, a gentle and kind Annie had appeared by her side, comforted her, and taught her a very important lesson. Her subsequent actions were actually deeply influenced by that encounter. Really? Could there be such a coincidence? That Annie was actually Zhou Heng's mother? For real? Swish! Yu Lingxue also quickly stood up, looking somewhat flustered, her mouth even agape, not knowing what to say. Lu Wei looked at Yu Lingxue, squinted her eyes slightly, and chuckled. This girl looks familiar too, a good child. Annie Lu. Hello. Last time I didn't know you were Zhou Heng's mother. Zhou Heng and I are classmates and also friends. My name is Yu Lingxue. Yu Lingxue bowed, introducing herself. Yin Min Gran and Shun Lini beside her were a bit confused, thinking, hadn't Yu Lingxue never met Zhou Heng's mother? But the two didn't seem to be meeting for the first time. Had they met before? When Lu Wei heard Yu Lingxue's name, she paused slightly. You. Oh, all right. No need to be so polite. Sit, darlings, everyone sit down. Lu Wei gently patted Yu Lingxue and Shun Lini's shoulders, then sat down beside Yin Min Gran. After Yu Lingxue sat down, she kept her head lowered. She was a little worried if Lu Wei had already guessed her identity. The surname Yu wasn't that common, and her father had some status. It was too normal to connect the dots. But even if she guessed, she didn't expose her. After ordering the food, Lu Wei first looked at Shun Lini and asked, "How have your parents been recently?" Shun Lini nodded and replied softly, "Dad and Mom are doing well. They know you and Uncle are busy, but they still hope you can visit our home." Good. I'll definitely visit when I have time." After saying that, Lu Wei looked at Yin Min Gran beside her, reached out her hands, and gently rubbed Imingran's face, her eyes full of affection. It was then she noticed Imingran's neck, but she just paused for a moment, then smiled again. "Darling, where do you want to go play? Mom will take you." Imingran's face was like dough, being kneaded until her mouth pouted, but she seemed to enjoy it, smiling happily. Anywhere is fine, Mom. As long as you're not busy." Not busy. I'm not busy today. Then we'll go play after we finish eating." Okay. Yin Min Gran nodded excitedly. The way the two interacted made Shun Lini and Yu Lingxue very envious. They seemed like good sisters. Soon the food arrived. The four of them ate and chatted, though most of the time it was Yin Min Gran and Lu Wei talking. Shun Lini spoke very little, which was normal, while Yu Lingxue felt that as an outsider, it was better for her to speak less. After a while, a man in a suit carrying a briefcase walked in. After entering, his eyes kept staring at their table. To be precise, he was staring at Lu Wei. After taking a deep breath, he walked over. "President Lu?" "Hello, President Lu." After the man spoke, all four of them looked up at him. Lu Wei frowned, her face showing displeasure. "Ah, President Lu, hello. I'm from Hongli Transport. I'd like to discuss a collaboration with you. You see, is it convenient?" The three girls turned to look at Lu Wei, who looked rather unhappy and somewhat impatient. Lu Wei waved her hand and said, "Not convenient. To discuss cooperation, go to the company and talk to the relevant department. You follow me here, playing these petty tricks. Do you think it's useful? Could you just listen to me briefly? Our company is truly very sincere." The man still wanted to say something. Lu Wei was already very annoyed and about to send him away, when Yu Lingxue suddenly stood up, blocking the table and the man, her expression serious. "Apologies. President Lu is not working right now and will not discuss any work-related matters, let alone while she is currently eating. If you have business, please go to the company and find the relevant personnel. So, please leave now, thank you." Yu Lingxue's imposing manner not only left the man before her speechless, but also somewhat surprised the others at the table. "Oh, then. Excuse me. This is my business card, please. Accept it." The man didn't know what had happened to him, to be intimidated by the young girl's aura. But no matter what, Lu Wei was backing her up, so he didn't dare say anything more. So he took out his business card from his bag and handed it to Yu Lingxue with both hands. Yu Lingxue took the business card with one hand, nodded slightly, and said nothing. The man left reluctantly, looking back every few steps. After he walked out the door, Yu Lingxue unhesitatingly threw the business card away without even asking if Lu Wei needed it. Lu Wei raised an eyebrow slightly, a look of interest on her face, and nodded gently. After Yu Lingxue sat down, she found the other three staring at her without a word, which made her feel a bit awkward. I'm sorry. Lu, ahem. Annie Lu, I took the liberty." Lu Wei quickly waved her hand and said, "No. Good child, you did very well." After the four finished their meal, they left the restaurant. Lu Wei suggested taking the three to a scenic spot for a walk, the most famous scenic spot in Huzhou. The three were also very happy. It wasn't often they got to travel, so it was good to be able to stroll around. Lu Wei drove the car, taking the three to the scenic area. They didn't even have to queue. Led by the scenic area manager, they went straight through the VIP channel. After getting inside, Lu Wei patted Yin Mingran's shoulder and said softly, "Darling, you take little Lini to play first." Yin Mingran was slightly taken aback, instantly understanding Lu Wei's meaning. She probably wanted to talk to you, Ling Xue, alone. She didn't think about the reason, just nodded and agreed. Okay. Yin Mingran quickened her pace, took Shen Lini's wrist, and led her away first. Yu Ling Xue, seeing the two walk so fast, couldn't help but pause. Looking back, she saw Lu Wei smiling at her. Yu Ling Xue didn't dare to directly chase after them, leaving Lu Wei alone, so she deliberately slowed her pace and came to Lu Wei's side. She was extremely reserved at this moment, her head slightly lowered, her steps not daring to be too large, not wanting to make the atmosphere so awkward, but also not knowing what to say. After walking for a while, Lu Wei slowly spoke, asking softly, "President Yu's daughter? Right? Just call me Xiao Xu. President Yu sent you to Zhou Heng's side. For some purpose, right? After all, at the higher levels, it's quite simple to find out such news." Yu Ling Xue instantly felt as if she had choked, the words stuck in her throat, unable to come out. She had guessed her identity would definitely be exposed, but she hadn't expected even her purpose would be exposed. Right, when she first met her, she seemed to have said some things she shouldn't have. She felt cold sweat trickling down her back, her throat dry. I that. Lu Wei saw Yu Ling Xue's difficulty, shook her head, and asked, All right, it's not important. I just want to know, what are your thoughts? I've decided not to follow my father's plans. I want to enter the company through my own efforts, starting from the grassroots, and take it slow. Is that so? That's quite good. Lu Wei nodded with satisfaction, a hint of admiration in her eyes as she looked at Yu Ling Xue. Yu Ling Xue felt a bit embarrassed. She should have done this long ago. Before, she had foolishly wanted to take a shortcut. Lu Wei looked ahead and continued, "You're right not to get involved in that messy business. It's not as simple as you imagine. I actually think highly of you. Perhaps you could choose another path." Yu Ling Xue suddenly looked up, staring at Lu Wei in disbelief. What did choosing another path mean? Did it mean she wasn't suitable? Telling her to do whatever she was supposed to do? Lu Wei put her hand in her pocket, as if searching for something, while continuing to speak. "Over there definitely aren't that many privileges. This is a strict rule set by Zhou Heng's father himself. But, in my place, at least I have the final say." Then, Lu Wei handed a specially made business card to Yu Ling Xue. Yu Ling Xue paused for a moment before reaching out, her hand trembling as she took it. She didn't understand what it meant for a moment. What was in her place? After Yu Ling Xue took the business card, she looked down at it, and her eyes instantly widened. Huzhou City, Tianheng Electronic Technology Co., Ltd. Chairman. Lu Wei. Yu Ling Xue's mouth was agape, almost wide enough to fit a fist. She had originally thought Zhou Heng's mother was basking in Zhou Heng's father's glory. But now it seemed both were big shots. This company, she knew it very well, one of the top 3 companies in Huzhou City, and also famous nationwide. The chairman was right beside her now. Lu Wei let out a breath and said lightly, "Don't get involved in their messy business. Study hard. If you're willing, come to my place when the time comes. At least I can make your life a bit more comfortable." I'm so willing. President Lu, I will definitely work hard, strive to enter your company, and also start from the grassroots. Yu Ling Xue was almost beside herself with excitement. She had met a great benefactor, someone even more helpful than her own father, and her wish was actually to get away from her father. Even if she successfully entered her father's company, she would definitely be gossiped about. After all, her father was a vice president, and none of her efforts would be recognized. She would have to live in her father's shadow for her entire life. Lu Wei smiled and waved her hand, asking, It's fine. Why call me President Lu now? Just call me Annie Lu. I want to ask you, how is your relationship with Little Ran?" Yu Ling Xue paused, looked at Yin Mingran ahead, and said softly, "Yin Mingran, our relationship is quite good." She remembered the events of a few days ago. Fortunately, she had made the right decision, otherwise, she and Yin Mingran would have become enemies by now. Lu Wei nodded and said, Then you two get along well. I've already decided on Yin Mingran as my daughter-in-law. I will do my best to cultivate her. What you mean is, Yu Lingshue's heart skipped a beat. Looking at Yi Mingran's back ahead, a look of surprise appeared on her face. Yes, just like Zhou Heng's father is planning to hand his position over to Zhou Hong, I am preparing to groom little Ran as my successor.